It's Piece by Piece Day. I didn't know how to do that to Colt Cabana's theme, so I couldn't do it. Yeah, without further ado, guys, it's Captain America Piece by Piece Day. The show always goes long, so we're gonna go quick introductions, skip the week in Hero Clicks, and get rapping on Captain America. So I'm joined by Tom.
Hey, everybody.
And Mike.
Hello.
And Jay. Shucks. All right, awesome. All right, so on that note, let's hit HC Realms. Their unit section is up to date, and I love them for it. Thank you guys very much over HC Realms, all the volunteers. Jay, I think you're one of them.
Wait, I literally already said that, but yeah, don't worry.
All right, so we're changing things up, so bear with the pace. We'll get into it. So starting with figure number 1A, Isaiah.
Just before we start, do
Yes.
you want to go over the three big traits once, just so that we get them out of the way, and then we never need to talk about them again?
Three big traits. The living legend. A lot of Captain Americas have it, and it's actually this first one. The first time each character of this name would be KO'd, instead turn him to his last non-KO click, then roll a d6 and heal him equal to half the result, protected pulse wave. There's that one, and then there is the, let's see if I can find a quick example of it. There's the Avengers one.
I can jump in. Yep, there's the Assembled Avengers.
There we go.
That's one where once per turn, when the character in question hits, then after the resolutions, you can roll a d6, and on a 5 or 6, if you've got 3 or more of characters with the keyword in question, it'll vary by piece, then you can remove a token from that character or give a token to the hit target, and if you've got 6 or more, then you can do both.
Right. And that also applies to Thunderbolts and Masters of Evil, who have their own trait of the name Assemble Bolts and Masters, which is the same print, but just different keywords.
You bet.
And is that about it, or is there another one I missed?
The other big one is just espionage, which is very straightforward.
Yeah,
it's just stealth, and then ignores hindering for everything.
Yeah.
And there's the 1 or 2 random characters that have espionage but name something else.
Yeah. So we'll just, if you hear us refer to it as espionage, you know we mean they have stealth, ignore hindering for line of fire, and movement. All right. Away we go with figure number 1A, Isaiah Bradley. Let me just get that up there. Boom. All right, Isaiah Bradley has a living legend trait, and he's got a special defense power, the other Captain America, which gives him defend and toughness. He has that on his first 2 clicks with empower and indomitable at 60 points. This is a pretty standard tough guy common. He's a charge-in brute dude. You're not going to see much of this guy in competitive play, I'm sure. Unless the living legend thing becomes something I'm not seeing. But that said, it's a pretty solid sealed pick. Probably good for your really your casual play teams. Any objections on that one?
I'm with you.
All right, cool. Tom.
We're going to Josiah X. This is your common prime. He's a 50-point piece with the scientist, soldier, and warrior keywords. 6 clicks deep, starting off with invulnerability and then dropping to toughness and energy shield deflection. Got some charge, some mid-dial sidestep and precision strike. Has some empower mid-dial and close combat expert at the end of his dial, but the only thing that makes him somewhat distinct is his opening special power, which is on damage. It's empower, and he also gives friendly characters that are adjacent or share a keyword with him the ability to reduce penetrating damage. Maybe other people are seeing more than I am about the abuse factor of this. I mean, the ability to reduce penetrating damage is very cool. In his particular case, it's only really that helpful for half the dial, but then again, he loses the power as of click 3, so what does it matter? Kind of makes you wish it was a trait. Kind of makes you wish that he had some named keywords for more dynamic building or just more keywords in general, but he can make a tough team a little bit tougher, especially with a lot of soldiers in the set. Pretty sealed worthy pick, if for no other reason than good values and a decent depth for 50 points, but I don't see a lot of use for him in Constructed unless anyone else does.
No objections here.
If there were living legend characters, because a lot of them have soldier, but they don't have producers, so there's no synergy there. Scientist is like a keyword that's almost always like in the background, but I just don't see it right now, but maybe in the future.
All right, cool. Next, figure number 2, Mike.
Yep, so it's Iron Man. He is 75 points. He's 6 clicks deep. He's got Armor, Avengers, Scientist, and Stark Industries keyword. He's got 3 traits. So the first trait is Shifting Focus. We've all seen that before. So it's I am Iron Man. Free. If Iron Man begin your turn on the map, replace him with another character with this trait. He's got Assembled Avengers, which we already talked about. And then we've got variable weapon system. So free, choose a standard attack power printed on the card of a character with the Shifting Focus I am Iron Man trait on your sideline. Iron Man can use the chosen power this turn. So obviously he's kind of neat, 75 points with reasonable values. This version is a really close combat, charge in with a heavy object and hit you, hopefully withstand damage with his impervious. He can act almost every turn, obviously, with Indomitable, which is nice. So he's not a bad pull and sealed. And if you're lucky, maybe you pull another Iron Man. I actually did in a tournament, was able to play him shifting focus. So it gives him a bit of a nod to look at in sealed. And I don't know so much for constructed. I mean, it isn't really showing me anything exciting right now. And without spoiling the other Iron Mans, I haven't really seen anything special power-wise on them, which would make me look at him as being meta. But shifting focus can always be an interesting strategy. So maybe something to consider, but that's about it. Not a bad figure.
Any objections, anyone?
Shifting focus has good synergies with stuff that's already out there, like auto-poofing ID cards, attacking stuff, and then not being able to get retaliated on. Like, there's a lot of good interactions. And I think there is a data... Yep, the 45-point data has a scientist, so I think there could be a team there.
The only thing I would point out is that it's nice that Steel Energy is an option for whatever Iron Man you've got out there, or at least if you've got another Iron Man out there. It's nice to have that particular power, since healing is always nice. And it's on a lot of shifting focus characters, you got to hope to land on your last click or two in order to get any, so...
Yeah, well, the one drawback in this situation is that the powers that you want to really use on the particular Iron Man are actually already on the Iron Man. Like, case in point, this one here with Steel Energy is the one that's the close one. The one with all the ranged attacks is the other one. He's the only one who could ever pick Steel Energy to share. You know what I mean? It's nice backup.
I do. I more meant if you get cornered with him, then you kind of choose Steel Energy, hope to heal up, then shift into this guy for better defenses.
He just didn't quite have the powers that laid out quite as well with that power.
All right, next up, Jay, you got figure number 3.
I have Citizen V. He has Living Legend. This is a he, yeah. Soldier V Battalion keywords. Traded sides of toughness. 4 range just in case. Starting off 4 charge, solid attack values, willpower, leadership. Goes into plasticity, reflexes, close combat expert. Ends up on click 5 with regen, which will synergize well with the Living Legend, theoretically, because they hate you. Go back to that click, heal up more, go back. The problem is it's just a 55-point brawler character, and especially in this set, there's a lot of range, a lot of shield. And sealed, you're going to get shot before you can use him, probably even with a 6 swing. And in constructed, there is just going to be better stuff, because the soldier keyword is very plentiful in this set, let alone everything else we already had.
Yeah.
Concur.
I'm all on board there. All right, next up, figure number 4, the Shield Agent. This comes with multiple tiles. What's my assignment? Free. Choose an adjacent friendly character with the Shield keyword and the standard speed power that character can use, except hypersonic speed. Shield Agent, oh my gosh, can use the chosen power until your next turn. See, I'm used to getting a flow of this. I'm all messed up now. He's got Shield Soldier and Spy keywords, Espionage trait, along with the ICER trait, which is on one of the 4 dials there, which gives him incapacitate with 2 targets. Shield. This is a sealed include if you're looking for extra range out of a shield guy and you have 15 points left over. I don't think this guy's making a lot of noise, though. There's combinations out there that could make shield really good. An extra use of shield team ability can go a little bit of a distance. Anybody agree, concur, disagree?
I agree. I would also throw in that I think he's got some constructive potential, if for no other reason than he's not an easy 15 points to score with that upfront super senses. If I'm correct, you choose your starting line on the game-by-game basis, right? Or is it
because they're all green. Nothing says otherwise, yeah.
Great. So that gives you lots of versatility. Like I said, he's fairly easy to keep down, and he's so few points. It's always nice to shore some up if you need extra room for your ID characters, and considering he's bringing the shield team ability, then there's a lot of good to be had from that. So.
And I would add in that when we get to figures like Nick Fury, we'll see an added boost to the benefit to Shield Agent.
Absolutely. All right.
You're wrong with the Shield team ability for that many points, and also can call an Iceman, and like even just copying sidestep. So I love this figure a lot.
All right. Next up, Tom?
We got the Shield Officer, who's 30 points, doubling that up. Also with the Shield team ability, Shield and Soldier and Spy keywords as well. We have 4 clicks of life here. Of course, the espionage trait that so many shields have, but also a got your back trait, which is a once per turn. When an adjacent friendly character with the shield keyword moves after resolutions, you may place shield officer adjacent to that character. We'll talk more about that in a second because that's the thing that's most worth talking about. The dial itself, pretty straightforward. Not a bad little opener there with some plasticity, precision strike, and power and toughness, and then kind of goes back and forth between empower and enhancement depending upon what's more useful to you. You can push if you need it, and the defense just kind of go down. Another very useful low point figure. I mean, in a way, I think he's a little bit outshone by his 15-point buddy, but there's really something to be said for the fact that when an adjacent friendly character with shield moves, then you can just place him down after. Go ahead and make an attack. Go ahead and call something in. Admittedly, there are not a ton of call-ins out below 30 points, but the ones that they are pretty good, darn good, like Colossus and Iceman, etc. And even without it, again, he can attack for free. Again, he's giving shield to your team, and he's being able to see through opposing stealth to be able to get that ping. Plus, you got to just love the ability to have a tie-up come with you without having to move. So he gets there, he makes the attack, and he ties up with plasticity. I really like him.
All right.
Well, especially because now you're not worrying about a flyer having to carry him on a running shot to both get the shield extra range, because you could just place instead. So you're not losing that one movement by trying to carry a person with you. And the moment they land next to you, now you've got to boost your range, and they could still be given a power action potentially. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't you have to resolve all your actions?
Yeah, well, the effect is after resolution. So
yeah, I thought so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but even so,
still for the next guy.
Yeah, for the next guy, totally.
Yeah. And the synergizing of plasticity with empower. You don't want to be next to the guy who's got the empower guy next to him, but he's going to keep him next to you. All right, Mike, you're next.
Yep, figure number 6, Sharon Carter. She's 35 points. She's only got 3 clicks of life, but she's got the shield team ability. She's got some nice keywords with Avengers, Politician, Shield, and Spy. She's got that espionage trait we saw talked about before. She's got another trait, best part of my day, leadership. If Sharon Carter is adjacent to a friendly character named Captain America or Steve Rogers, she and those characters increase the result of their D6 rolls for leadership by +1, if not already increased by a trait. So not stackable because of that last part in there, but still that means you're going to succeed on a leadership on a 4, 5, or 6, right? 4, 5, or 6 now. Oh yeah, right. I mean, that's why I had to think in my head for a second. Is leadership 4, 5, or 6? Because I'm still stuck in the old days. So thank you, old days figure. And she's got a special damage power for 2 of her 3 clicks of life. Perplex. When Sharon Carter uses it to target another friendly character with the shield keyword, that character can use Outwit until your next turn. I love this figure. I think this figure is fantastic for 35 points. She's an amazing support piece, especially because of the new set, especially because of rare Steve Rogers, which we've already talked about. She's perfect to just stand beside him because now she's increasing his there's 2 leaderships on your team. You both got a better chance to roll them. He's making somebody shield or Avengers, which he also has the keyword. So she fits on either of the teams where he can now bring a 50-point character on. And if you're making a shield team, wow, how about I perplex up your defense? Oh, now you have Outwit. I've already made a team with 2 Sharon Carters on it because I think this is a fantastic support piece. There's more about her. I mean, she's got shield team ability. I love her. Sorry, I'm gushing. I haven't been this in love with such an easy to kill figure. I mean, she's soft. Let's not pretend she's not soft, but at least you don't really need to move her up. She's got a 17 defense with ESD, and she's hiding in stealth, so she's not super easy to just take out at a distance. You got to come over and get her. Easy to kill once you get her, but man, I think she's a fantastic support piece.
Mm-hmm.
Concur.
I just want to add, Medusa needed leadership like this, right, guys?
Right.
All right.
Well, there you go. See, even perplex up Medusa's attack when she gets carried forward. Now she's got Outwit.
Yep.
Oh, no, wait. She doesn't have shield.
She's not shield.
No, she doesn't have shield.
Oh,
see, I'm too excited about using that part.
yeah.
All right. Jay? Or unless anybody else wants to talk about
Nick Fury
right.
has what?
Nothing.
Carry on.
Nick Fury has a shield keyword, team ability and keyword, as well as Howling Commandos, which doesn't matter. Politician's okay. Secret Warriors, Soldier, Spy. He has Espionage, 6 range, dual target, and Indom. He has traded leadership, and then when he uses it and it succeeds, instead of the normal effect, you can generate the shield agent into an adjacent square or a square of hindering within range and line of fire. And I'm realizing now that you can just naturally up that range with passive shield team ability. So throw a 15-point dude 9 squares away. Has a stop click with Mastermind. When the click is first revealed after resolutions, roll d6. Place Nick Fury up to that many squares away from his current square. And because it says up to, that can include 0. Starts off with running shot, energy explosion at wit, shifts into sidestep, reflexes, close combat expert, end off with precision strike with the stop click and outwit. I think he's a pretty solid common for sealed. I like this dial, but if it was going to be competitive, it would need to be like 50 points instead of 75. Unfortunately. But even so, I really like it. But yeah, I played it in sealed myself. It's just really solid. Outwit in this set with espionage is really good. Energy explosion is good for swarms. Just hard enough to kill. Just overall solid package for definitely for sealed.
Concur.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
All right. Next up, we have Maria Hill. She's got politician shield, soldier, spy, espionage trait, and she's got a special movement power. Welcome to Pleasant Hill. Mind control. Once per turn, when a friendly character uses mind control to target a character that hasn't been damaged this turn, after resolutions, that targeted character can't make attacks or be attacked until your next turn, unless it's the only character on its force. Her special damage power in her first 2 clicks, leadership and shape change. 45 points, shield, team ability with 5 range. This is just a shield support character with a really cool mind control power. Her range is a little bit limiting on it. I mean, a 5 range isn't huge, but, if you throw on a shield team, that's an 8 range. Let's not kid ourselves. And if you can really pull off that mind control on a good meaty target, get a little perplex in there. I mean, I think we have some who are perplexed. Sharon Carter. That you can really get some value. So it's one of those characters is like unassuming at first, but if it works, you're having a bad day. Also comes with barrier on the first 2 clicks. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, at 45 points, it's not a bad character, but it's not like top of the line. It's probably an include in some really tricky shield teams for sure. But the fact that she's got espionage to go with her mind control goes a little bit of a way too, because you're mind control so often stopped by stealth. In this case, I don't care. So anybody?
I just wanted to shout out the fact that one of the challenges with a set like this is that very often what you'll find is you've got a slew of shield characters that are very slight variations on a really common theme. So even if Maria's not great, the fact that she's a mind control barrier piece it's so unlike everything else that I think she's a good addition.
Yeah, and I think Jason hinted at it too when you mentioned the 5 range. It's like, but on a shield team, really you're looking at these values getting jacked up +3, right? You're going to have tons of shield guys. They're low points, so you're swarming anyway. So there is a sort of a false deflated values, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't see the full potential because we have to look at the figures as a whole once you pair them all together.
Now, if you want a really good use of 40 points, even fewer points than Maria, then we go to Peggy Carter. Peggy Carter's got the shield team ability. She is, as I say, 40 points, also with a 5 range, rocking the Howling Commandos and shield named keywords in the past, soldier and spy generics. She's espionage like so many others are, but what really makes her cool is her opening movement special, which is sidestep, and characters can't draw lines of fire to Peggy Carter unless she is adjacent to another character. At the beginning of your turn, you may deal Peggy Carter 1 unavoidable damage. And so she's very hard to target on her first click, and when you look at what she's rocking there, she's a 17 defense with combat reflexes, combined with her stealth makes her hard to hit even when you have to get next to her, basically, unless your opponent is placing in a strange way. And once you do, it's a 19 defense. She is the ultimate stealth outwitter then, and stealth mastermind, or in-capper, and as noted, her 5 range can easily become more than that. So that's a pretty useful in-cap and outwit combination that's pretty annoying to deal with, and whenever she wants to go on offense, she can go straight to running shot, precision strike with a 3 damage, and rounds out the dial with close combat expert, precision strike, and sidestep. She's got combat reflexes throughout. I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot I need to say, because I think think it's a really strong piece, a really excellent low point support character that has the ability to combine her outwit and incapacitate to lock down and control opposing characters. Sidestep allows her to always be in a good position, and then when she wants to go on the offense, she just does it. There's none of this sort of pushing her to activate. Like, her activation click just comes with the ability to activate whenever you need it, and I think that's really cool and awesome, and I think that's all there is to say.
Anybody want to add or just detract?
No, she's just awesome. As long as, I mean, just don't let her get pulse wave to death, and she's awesome and will ruin everything forever.
So don't let.
And
her
also,
be a
even
character.
if they do base her, or even if they do put the character next to her, she still has stealth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, good luck.
Yeah.
I always say the pulse wave argument is okay, so don't let her be a character. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Right.
just saying, like, because pulse wave can still get around it, and sometimes lines of fire can't be drawn used to prevent pulse wave. You never know who might not realize.
All right, Mike, you got the next one.
Yep. Figure number 10 in the set, Quake. She's 65 points. She's got Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. team abilities. Her keywords are Avengers, Inhuman, S.H.I.E.L.D., Secret Warriors, and Spy. So not bad keywords in there. She's got Assembled Avengers, which we talked about. She's got Espionage, of course, because almost everybody in the set does, especially if you're S.H.I.E.L.D.
Everybody has stealth, and none of it matters.
Right? If you've got S.H.I.E.L.D. or you've got Spy, you're going to have Espionage. And then she's got a special attack power, which thankfully she has on the entire dial. And you'll see why that's a really good thing. It's Quake. And when Quake uses it, she may choose one. Choose an unoccupied square within her range, and she may use Quake as if she occupied that square. Or Quake can use Giant Reach X, where X is her click number. Hence why it's good to have that special power on all her clicks. So when she's on click 6, she's got a nice 6 giant reach for Quake. That's kind of neat. Her values aren't bad. Definitely having stealth will help her keep her alive with the 17 defense and combat reflexes if you got to come in and deal with her close. If you ignore hindering, like so many people in this set, it's a way less of a problem. So ironically, she may actually have in a way, a better life in Constructed, because you may not come across as much of this ignoring hindering as you do in Sealed. Because in Sealed, she's really just got a 17 defense. Against most people who just shoot her at range, right? So neat power, fun little figure to fill out. 65 points isn't so bad for what she brings and how she can fill in, but I don't really see her as making really much of a splash. And Constructed, it depends on what else you pull in there. I mean, Empower could help if you got a lot of other close attackers, but I just don't think she's got the longevity because of, as we mentioned, everybody sees through stealth in this set.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm on board with that. Anybody detract? All right.
Rock on.
Jay, you're next.
We have Industrial Spy. With keywords AIM, Hammer Industries, Hydra Spy. Generic, not that it matters. 5 range, Hydra team ability, Espionage, and then damage power on the first click. At wit, when Industrial Spy uses it and chooses only standard powers, he can choose the chosen power or powers until your next turn. If the targeted character has Armor, Robot, Hammer Industries, Stark Industries, or the vehicle keyword, Industrial Spy can choose 2 powers instead of 1, and nothing in the power says that you have to choose a standard power that they have, so you get Outwit, and then if they don't have the standard power, you just have pick a power. So just pick whatever you want. The only problem is that even with Espionage, it's still just one very easy close combat attack from being blown up or any shot. It definitely can be a threat, but it's just a little squishy. And if you really need this, that's your only option for Outwit, fine. But otherwise, it's definitely not the figure I'm looking to play first in my Sealed. Constructed, like, maybe okay filler for the name keywords, but like still, I just don't see the longevity, so probably not for those points.
I thought he had wild card and not Hydra. Am I wrong?
You might be wrong, and whoever did this.
No.
Because you played him yesterday.
Right here, and he
He does
actually
have
has.
So it's
he has
wrong on
wild card.
it's wrong on HC Realms. It is wild.
That was not me. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
will
he
fix
is a little bit more
he's a
useful.
tiny bit
because-
better.
Okay,
but
yeah, the wild
I
card.
still agree with Jay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally.
Probably, you know what? I feel like whoever put this up was like, you know what? I'm gonna wild card a lot with this guy, Hydra.
Yeah, that's honestly probably like the only or main thing you're getting anyway, or like
Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Speaking of unlikely generics to be used, the nuke clone is next. For 20 points, you get the Underworld team ability, the Power Elite. The Power Elite's another trait we forgot to describe, and this will be the last time we talk about it. Not without laughing at it, though. He's got Power Elite and Soldier. He's 20 points with this dial, Underworld team ability, and 6 range. The Burnout Virus. When Nuke Clone is KO'd by an attack or by the effects of a trait with this name, after resolutions deal 1 penetrating damage to each character within 3 squares. At the end of your turn, for all characters with this trait, roll a d6. On a 4 to 6, deal a friendly character named Nuke Clone 1 unavoidable damage. Then he's got the Power Elite trait, which we'll see. Like I said, we'll see this on other characters. The power actions of opposing characters with X squares are double power actions instead. X is the number of friendly characters with Power Elite keyword with different names. I mean, for 20 points, you get some pretty solid stats. 8 movement with running shot, 10 attack with 3 damage. I'm not angry to pay 20 points for that, especially not on a 4-click dial. But he also, on a 50-50 chance he's going to deal himself damage. I mean, there's a very good likelihood that even if he does only take a couple damage, you're going to hand your opponent the 20 points. Overall, I'm not super plussed by this guy. And the Power Elite trait itself, it's just so very specific to the characters that have it, and so many of them we'll see later. Just there's a lacking synergy to me. That's my call on it. Anybody?
I would say that in a sealed game, I think I would take the plunge. I mean, it's still going to be point filler, but it's point filler I'm not so unenthused about. If the soonest he'll kill himself is 4 turns. The longest, well, I guess the longest is theoretically infinite, but you might reasonably expect him to last 6 or 7 turns if he's not being attacked. I think you'll get 20 points of use out of him in that amount of time. Even in 4 turns, I think you could theoretically get the use out of him for such a low point cost for such decent stats. I think there's a reasonably good chance. I think that I would want to put him on my team, and he'll probably perform better than you think he's going to. You just see the fact that he damages himself; it's an immediate turnoff. But I think in practice, it'll probably work out better than it does in principle.
All right. Yeah, he's just cheap enough, and the dial is just long enough, and it's all just enough for the points you're paying for sealed.
Yeah, that's right. Razor's edge.
Sealed, it's 20 points. I'd include things like this or the mercenary. Yeah, no problem. It's just. I look at it.
I mean, it depends on what you need, and that segues nicely into number 13, Happy Hogan.
Yeah, there we go.
Also 20 points. He's Avengers Stark Industries, 3 clicks deep, 1 trait, and that's all you get. Passenger 2, and may carry characters that fly, or with the wing symbol, if you want to be really specific. With a friendly character named when a friendly character named Iron Man is given a move action and carries Happy Hogan after resolutions, you may give Happy Hogan an action token to remove an action token from Iron Man. Now, if anybody is thinking to themselves, why, if he can carry flyers, would you have Iron Man do the carrying instead of Happy? It's because Happy doesn't ignore anything when he moves, and that kind of spoils him for me. Even though 20 points to carry 2 people is fine, especially in a sealed setting, outside of sealed, he's just not a good enough taxi, in my opinion. 2 people and no ignoring of terrain, with very little else that he's providing. He really has no support powers that are meaningful, no team abilities that matter. Maybe I'm just being too harsh on him, but I don't feel it personally. I would give him a pass.
I disagree because for one thing, I really like that Chase Strange, who will just give him phasing and plus 2 speed, make up for the carrying, and then you have phasing, or play WWE ring till you clear out the map a little bit, or I don't know. I always look at Voyager and I'm like, yeah, I probably should want to play it, but it's still a lot of points. I could see myself running 2 of this guy for constructed over other options. I don't know. Kite Man, but Avengers, and I don't know. I think it's fine.
I think Kite Man is considerably better, and he's cheaper. I agree, though. From a keyword perspective, there is something to be said for that.
Yeah. All right. Mike, you got the next one.
We've got figure number 14. It's Power Man. Which one is that's? Wasn't that who? That's Atlas. No, but that's who Atlas was before, Eric Johnson. So this is his original. First he was Smuggler, then he was Power Man, then he was Atlas, basically. Yeah. So anyway, 65 points. Masters of Evil. He's got Emissaries of Evil, Lethal Legion, and Masters of Evil keyword. He's got a bit of a what you see is what you get kind of beat stick daw with the charge, super strength, and impervious. 5 clicks long. He's got 2 traits. So the Assembled Bolts and Masters, which we talked about before. And the other one is Indestructible Ionic Energy. Power Man takes a maximum of 1 damage from the first attack that hits him each turn. So kind of interesting. It gives him a little bit of a more, like a little extra edge to him in terms of maybe lasting in constructed. Because he's got that impervious, so even if he doesn't roll the impervious on the first attack that hits him in a turn, he is only going to take 1 click, which still puts him on impervious again. So that's not so bad. Also, because of the fact that it's a trait, even if somebody outwits his defense power, he can still only take the 1 click of damage from that first attack of the turn. So it does make him a little bit harder to deal with right out of the gate. Like he's not a soft 65 points, but I wouldn't want to spend the 65 points on him because he's just not really doing anything. He's just sort of there. I guess it depends on in sealed what else you pull. Maybe if somehow you pulled some TK, somebody who can move him up the map a little faster, he's not so bad as a beat stick because he's not so easy to kill. But I would hope I pulled Roz Solomon over this guy. I'll tell you that because that's the 65 points I would rather spend. So he's man. I don't see him ever having any kind of life in meta.
Yeah, it's.
You said it.
Yep.
The other problem is that you can just do a non-damaging attack to deal with the trait. It's just whatever.
Sorry, folks. I accidentally hit that button that puts my window back.
It literally just makes the first attack not anything that matters more than potentially doing 1 damage. That's all it is. Just makes him slightly annoying to get rid of.
All right, Jay.
I keep on getting figures that I like. I did play the Winter Soldier in Sealed and liked him a lot. He has Team Player, and this is actually the right one. 6 range. I thought he had Indom.
I'm looking.
He does have Indom. I played him.
Okay. I'll
pretty
mark
sure
that.
he does.
Okay, so I didn't do this one.
Things got out so quick, and this is what happened.
Yeah, that's
not a big deal.
Okay, but he has improved targeting. He can shoot in and out of adjacency. He has, what does he have? A lot of keywords. Assassin, Avengers, Hydra, Invaders, Shield, Soldier Spy, Thunderbolts. So starts off with Running Shot, Running Shot, Precision Strike, Invulnerable, Outwit, shifts into Charge, and then Sidestep. And on clicks 2 and 3, he has both Close and Range Combat Expert from his special power. He has Espionage, as every figure does. Does he have assembled bolts, or is it Avengers?
It's assembled bolts and masters.
For real? Okay.
It is, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because he was running the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so I think he's just durable enough. Even if he takes a solid hit, he's on 18 toughness, which is still not bad. Or I saw a lot of his 17 reflexes clicks. With seeing through, hindering, flying fire is good, and the precision strike. Range is good enough, especially when you consider that he has all the relevant keywords to play with shield. And it's just a lot of damage, really. Like either outwit and go through powers, or have the experts, or both penetrating standard powers. There's just a lot here. Not really for constructed. He's just way too expensive for what he does for constructed. But for the sealed awesomeness, I was a very big fan, and I ended up winning an event with him.
All right. Hey, Tom, you can't mind control this one, eh?
It's too bad.
Not with everybody.
Okay. Well, there's no point then. He's not the one I want.
All right. Next up, we have figure number 16, Singularity, with the Power Cosmic Team ability, 6 range, 100 points. I'm overselling it, trust me. Avengers, Battle World, Other, and Cosmic keywords. I'm still overselling it. So what you see is what you get dial with phasing, Psychic Blast, Impervious, and Probability Control. So this is that 100-point character that they throw in for Sealed. And that's where I will use Singularity, is Sealed. Because... even though she has Battle World Other, there are teams you can build with that. I mean, ultimately, this is not something I'm bringing to my competitive meta teams anytime soon. She's got Avengers, assembled Avengers. Cool. It's 100 points. I don't know how many of the Avengers you're getting on your team beyond that. Ultimately, I feel like like I said, this is a solid inset sealed include with sealed on the mind, and this is a good character in sealed, but it does get a little scary once you get past those impervious clicks and you're in that defend territory and you're starting to sweat, and it's like, can they keep hitting the in defense to get me past this? Please don't. I got shape change. Is that going to help? And then, oh no, they're poisoning. Is there any poison in this set? I hope there's no poison in this set. Anyway, long and short of it, I prefer this character for sealed over constructed. And I think that's the only place I'd see myself using Singularity outside of casual play.
I agree completely until such time as they bring back Possessors, because she always just seems to be missing the one thing. At the top of her dial, it's a moon attack power. At the end of her dial, it's a better defense power. Yeah. So I think she'd be awesome with a Possessor, but it's been a long time.
I mean, you can play her with the character Possessor.
Well, that's not going to help, Jay.
Yeah, I thought that she was, for sealed, I thought she was going to just take a hit and die, but like, I basically always managed to have her in hindering, or they had to shoot through a lot of prob because I had theme. She's just good enough. And honestly, like, if you don't have theme, like, you got to play your prob. So
yeah, she's just good enough to justify herself. And certainly, if you're going to get a common, you'd rather see her than number 17, Sidewinder.
Look at that!
Wow,
the king of the segue,
master of the pivot.
We should get him one of the actual segues.
Yeah. So here we have 30 points for a Serpent Society ruler spy that you're not going to be playing. It's 4 clicks deep. Has the engineer of the sneak attack. This is something you'll remember from past sets. Phasing teleport, and if you move 5 or less, then you can make an attack after. However, he has a little twist on it, in as far as, in his particular case, when Sidewinder uses it, passenger 5, but only to carry characters with the Serpent Society keyword, and if he moves 5 or less, after resolutions, he or a character he carried can make a close attack. So,
how many Serpent Society characters are in this episode?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's completely useless from a sealed perspective, unless you pull 2 of them, which is, I guess, that's actually possible.
Yeah, it's common.
But also, I should say, Mastermind Willpower off the top. And leadership, honestly, not a bad addition to a Serpent Society team. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to play one in a constructed environment for realsies, but I'm not going to knock the creation of the character. Pretty good point efficiency for what you get for a Serpent Society themed team in your fun casual games. So he's your fun casual piece. That's all I have to say.
Well, especially because of the fact there's only 2 other legal Serpent Society figures at present, one of which will retire this year. Actually, maybe 2, because do we think Secret Wars Battle World will retire?
No, not even close.
Okay,
yeah.
but Mighty Thor will, so there goes King Cobra.
Right.
So Sidewinder can carry Bushmaster. Enjoy Serpent Society.
That's what it's for. That's all it's for.
I'm more grumpy because I like Serpent Society, and I was excited for this guy to fill in that, only to realize, oh wait, I can't play any of them in Modern anyway.
They're in the superior foes of Spider-Man.
Yes.
And some in Deadpool and X-Force as well.
Yeah, I think he's almost okay enough as like sealed filler because he can like phase and block lines of fire with his stealth, and just having leadership if you need the action is fine. The owl's just long enough. Like, he's not the worst filler in the world, but yeah, you probably should have better filler.
Yeah, phasing move 5 and attack with a 10 attack, 3 damage for 30 points. I'm not going to.
It's not terrible.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but I'm not using his mastermind to anybody more important on my team.
No, totally not.
I'm not putting the effort in to keep him alive. All right, Mike, you got next 18.
Figure number 18.
We're in the uncommons.
18A.
Hey! 10 for 10 at the uncommons.
I know, look at that. 18A, it's Captain America. And he's really pretty, too. He's got a really cool... Look at it. He throws his shield.
He throws his mighty shield.
He is 85 points. He's Avengers. He's actually got a 6-range triple target, which is always a little exciting when you can pick a lot of different people to toss your shield at. He's got Avengers shield and soldier keywords. He's got improved movement, ignores characters and ignores hindering, so that's kind of fun. Cap is always on the move. He's got that assembled Avengers trait. He's got that living legend trait, so he doesn't die so easy the first time. And then he's got a special damage power in the first 3 clicks. It's let's finish this Avengers leadership. When Captain America rolls a 6 for leadership, or the assembled Avengers trait, until your next turn, friendly characters can't have their combat values negatively modified. So that's pretty cool. I like this figure. The 85 points, he's sort of in that realm of I'm not quite sure where he fits in terms of constructed. I think you could still have plenty of room to build off of him. Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. are obviously keywords that have a lot of potential right now, and there's lots of support figures and things you can fill in to add to that. We already know he doesn't die right away the first time because of the living legend, so that immediately makes him not quite so soft. Impervious that you got to get rid of. You can't tie him down. Which, because of the improved movement, ignores characters, which is great for a guy running shot triple target, 12 attack. I love a 12 attack. I mean, come on. So I think there's something to him. I think you have to take a consideration for him in the constructed environment, and that there's enough things out there that somebody could beef him up enough or build something around him where he could shine. And I definitely think you have to consider him in sealed. I mean, again, a 12 attack is pretty great. The triple target means that you're going to have that option of on these smaller swarmer teams to be able to pick maybe a big target that's more of a Hail Mary shot and some smaller support pieces. And if you miss that big hit, you could throw it at the smaller ones. And down on the second and third click, he has precision strike. So triple target becomes even more useful if you've got precision strike, because you could do 1 to each of your targets, can't you?
I don't think you can.
You can't multi-target precision.
Yeah.
But you used to be able to.
Back in the day.
Yes.
Correct.
I will never keep up with this game. It's a good thing you guys are here.
And these days, if you want to, if you're a wild card, you can change your team ability by taking a free action too.
Anyway, so I like him. I think he's not a bad figure. I think you have to consider he might have some potential.
I think he's real good. I agree with you completely.
This is another figure for me where I like the dial, but I feel like it's just too expensive. Or just not even like a lot too expensive, just like a little.
Living Legend puts it over the top for me. I would agree, except I love the second lease on life.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you didn't have Living Legend, I would want him to be about 75 points. And then I would feel like, okay, I can play this figure. But the fact that he doesn't die that first time, and his defense values are pretty solid.
I feel this almost harkens back to the old Ultimate Captain America, where we kind of looked at that character like, oh man, he's gonna be a pain in the butt in like not super competitive teams, but at the same time you see it in competitive games, like I know that character and I know he's a pain in the butt. So like it's one of those characters who's unassumingly good, I think. All right, next up, Jay.
I think I have the captain. Yeah, we have the captain.
You are the captain now.
Oh no, I'm
Mon Capitaine.
So we have the captain with Avengers 5 range and Avengers soldier keyword, living legend, and then he has another trait where he can either at the beginning of the game lose soldier keyword, which is what it's never going to matter. It's a generic keyword. Like you're already going to have your theme established. It doesn't actually matter. And if you do that, you gain a Marvel team ability of your choice that's uncopyable. So pretty much anything but power cosmic or wild card, but then you're just gonna pick another team ability. But yeah, or you can choose that he cannot have his values modified by other characters and can't have his attack rolls re-rolled. I really don't see why you would ever pick the second option, but maybe it might randomly matter. And the thing about this dial is that it's just you look at the values and you're like, whatever for the right number of points. For balance number of points, this is an okay dial, but for the 45 points you're actually paying of 6 clicks, 11 attacks all the way through, printed 3 with close combat expert for 3 clicks, like, and living legend. I don't understand. Like you're missing, like, it's a character in this set. What do you expect? But so yeah, I mean the top dial energy shield is good, but then you go into refluxes, and then that's where you want to be when you are in the thick of it with close combat expert, and when you revive. And he's just so undercosted. Even so, I don't know about construct. I want him to be useful for constructed, but it just might be that like 45, the 45 problem of not being 50 points. So that just might be it for him. as the main problem.
This has got to be the most efficient use of the Prime coupon I've ever seen in my life.
It's not even a Prime.
Yeah, it's not even a Prime. It's just another one.
Prime, it's
no,
just
he's
No,
not
it's
Prime.
just a B. I think if you search Primes, it shows
that's
up
right.
because
The
of bad
uncommon Prime's
coding.
Jolt.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just one of the ABs that's not a Prime.
I gotta
so
find
yeah.
this character in my packs now.
Oh man, if this is a Prime too.
45 points for this? That's awesome.
Yeah, he's real good.
Which coupon did they use on this then? Who came up with these points?
I think a Dial H for HeroClix coupon or something.
All right. We move next to the next part of the Iron Man package. It's the uncommon Iron Man at 75 points. This one has 7 range with 2 targets. It flies. It's indomitable. It's got running shot to start, energy explosion, some mid-dial, psychic blast. This is what you see, is what you get. What am I talking about? Armor, Avengers, Scientists, Stark Industries, keywords, shifting focus, like I said, assembled Avengers, and also has a variable weapon system. So this is part 2 of a bigger package. This is your range package, where the other one was your close combat package. This is your range one. This, with possibly exception of the one other we have to talk about, is one of the 2 that you're probably going to start with if you play the shifting focus. And Jay, I know, covered it when we were talking about the shifting focus one earlier. One of the big bonuses of shifting focus is that because this one has running shot, you're going to be able to running shot, shoot, and then shifting focus, and now you're in the safety of I'm not going to get colossal retaliated, which goes a long way for sure. And like Jay also said, I call somebody in, they go do their thing, I shifting focus, that character is not on the board anymore. So ultimately, because it's part of a bigger package, I like this. I've always loved shifting focus for 75 points. It's pretty okay. I'm going to be cold reading the rare when we get to it, so that's going to be like my final decision on it for myself. But I've seen the common and uncommon pulled together a lot and sealed. If you get both, do it. If you pull this one and not the common, you can go with this one pretty safely. It's got a safe power package, if you ask me. So I don't know. Anybody agree?
I disagree. I don't think any one of them on their own is good enough. I feel like they're just like the values are just not good enough. Or I don't know. Like this one's probably the best on his own, but even then, I don't know. I feel like you can do better for those points in the sealed. But if not, like that's really your best option. He's still fine. But he's
not bad.
Huge.
Jay obviously always gets packs that always have better than this Iron Man in his packs.
I mean, there are very good commons in this set. So,
all right, Tom.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Living Legends recently, and if you were thinking, I like the Living Legend trait, but what if I had to pay 25 points for it and it was much more restrictive and worse? Here's the answer to that question. Citizen V, 50 points. For Thunderbolts V Battalion, great keyword, celebrity and martial arts. He's got assembled bolts and masters. We know what that's about with the Master V with Thunderbolts. He does have an attack special to start with Precision Strike and Blades, Claws, Fangs, but instead roll 2d6 and choose 1 as the result, which is a boss power. But what I was making fun of earlier was plus 25 points, reveal myself to the world, expose myself to the world. If Citizen V would be KO'd, instead replace him with a different Gip and much better Baron Zemo from either the super rare or LE rarities. On their last non-KO click, roll a d6 and he'll have the result, Protect a Pulse Wave. So that's what I was referring to when I said it's like Living Legend. You pay 25 points to do it, to give the opportunity to turn Citizen V into a better Zemo. I'm not quite sure why you wouldn't just be playing that other one over the Citizen V. Maybe Jake can try to elucidate how that's worth 25 points. Otherwise, for 50 points, he's not a terrible little running attacker, but he's not a great one. I don't love the fact that he doesn't ignore anything for getting around, and he's not super fast. That is an awesome Blades, Claws, Fangs. So I think that the best use for him that I can think of off the top of my head is to kind of throw him out there and let him be a threat. Like, let him be such that if your opponent leaves him alone, he could get in and do some serious damage, so they have to put the pressure on him and hopefully not the rest of your team. Ironically, that's exactly what Mike did against me the other day, and it's a great use for the character. He's also one that I think suffers by the fact that we can look at the backs of cards now, because that's a nice little nifty end dial with Flurry, Blades, and Outwit, which would be a great surprise back when that was possible. I don't think he's very good.
All right. So, Mike, you got the next one.
Yep, number 21 in the set, Ross Solomon, who I mentioned earlier, who is 65 points. Shield team ability, 6 range, single target. She's got Asgardian, Shield, Scientist, Spy, and Wakanda keywords. Interesting stuff there. She's A flyer, which is very important actually in this set because there's a lot of these shield people who don't fly. So here's at least somebody who can help transport some of them around. She's got improved targeting. This character can make ranged attacks while adjacent to opposing characters. Also very useful since she's got running shot, Psychic Blast. So even if she gets tied up by somebody, she could still Psychic Blast. She's got the espionage trait that we mentioned before. She's also got vibranium bullets. When Roz Solomon makes a ranged attack, her target's defense values can't be positively modified. Oh my God, I love her.
Energy what in deflection?
Yeah, well, hello. It just, oh yeah, it's so good. I can't even. Perplexed up defense? Yeah, no, don't bother. Just don't. And then she's got a special movement power in her last 2 clicks, Celestial Tech, Phase Teleport. Once per game when Roz Solomon uses it, she may carry an opposing character. So it's kind of funny. It's like if you end up with her deep up the map and she's hurt, now I guess she just goes, okay, I'm going to run away and I'm going to take one of you guys back here to my friends and hopefully they can finish you off right now. I think she's a very solid figure for sure for sealed. Again, because she's got running shot, flight, 11 attacks, psychic blast, 3 damage that ignores hindering for line of fire because the espionage trait. Ignores any positive modifiers, like we already mentioned. ESD is useless. So perplexing up defense is useless. And then she's also got outwit that she can use afterwards to help her buddies who follow behind her with whatever defense power you might have after she's side blasted through whatever one you had before. I've played her in sealed and I've played against her in sealed, and yeah, this I think is one of the best sealed figures for the points in the set, especially because she's in an uncommon slot, so you're definitely going to see her. I don't know why in the hell you would not play this figure unless you pull gold out of the rest of your packs. Like, honestly, I can't see why you wouldn't play. This is a great 65 sealed figure. Constructed, the only reason I would say no is because that 17 toughness is just seems so soft to me. I just think there's so many things out there that'll just wipe her out, right? Five damage, she's off the map. She's soft.
Yeah, or 2 damage and she's way less useful.
Yeah,
right?
You know,
hard sell.
She's a hard sell in that, but constructed, I hard sell not to play her.
Yeah,
I do also have to say that phasing power really synergizes with a lot of because there's a lot of Wakanda characters that get bonuses off of your side of the map. So bring your opposing character over there and watch them suffer. But for the most part, like this is while it synergizes, it's not good enough to synergize. So, All right, Jay.
Dario Agger has a Mystics team ability, 5 range, 50 points, a lot of keywords: aim, Hydra, monster, mystical, politician, ruler. Before you pay for his optional trait, he has a special damage power, the whole dial with outwit and prob, opposing characters within 5. He's team abilities, dial full of stealth, starts off with TK Mastermind and the damage power, has its special or another optional trait, shape change. If he would be KO'd, instead place him with the uncommon Minotaur from this set on the last non-KO click, roll d6 and heal him equal to half the result, protected pulse wave. If that optional trait was itself a May, much better, but as is, you're giving up 125 points of definitely not bad, but just that's a lot of points to give up, especially when we have the alternate win condition, as I'm obligated to say. Otherwise, Kenny will yell at me. But
it's a mercy rule, don't let him fool you.
Yeah.
Whoa. That was not.
You can come at me.
He knows where you live.
I used to wrestle.
He knows the vicinity.
We call it the mercy rule in wrestling. We're calling it the mercy rule in this too.
Oof. Sorry, I brought it up. As an overall solid support package, I mean, you have stealth, TK, outwit, and prob, the team ability thing, and then mastermind. But if you can't mastermind, they take mystics. And for casual, totally play the trait, and then he has shape change as well as turns into Minotaur. For sealed, I mean, outwit, prob is good. The team ability thing barely matter. I mean, it doesn't not matter, but it's not like huge. He might be good enough. I mean, Mike and I were talking about like his viability for constructed. I think it's just about good enough considering he's 50 points. Mystics might be a liability, but like then they have to go through his mastermind and like whatever. But yeah, and then constructed shutdown team abilities is obviously very, very, very good. Where in the world of things with power cosmic and
WWE, for example.
Yeah, WWE as well. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. That'll matter a lot.
Yeah, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he real good. I just really wish that trait was viable, the optional trait.
Yeah, that's really the one thing that holds him back is if it was a May turn into Minotaur, so you could decide on the circumstances of whether it's worth risking those extra points. You know?
Yeah, like worst case scenario, you end up on 2 penetrating damage kills the Minotaur. It's just, yeah, it's a little risky business.
I think one thing majorly worth noting is that if you look at the modern age mystical right now, 50 points or less for probability control is actually not frequent anymore. Like, I think the only character with mystical as a keyword, aside from the 2 ravens, is what's his name?
Billy?
Alex Wilder.
Alex Wilder, because Billy doesn't have prob, he has perplex.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were
right?
saying John.
And Alex Wilder, you can say, no, you're not getting prob, you're getting the other 2 powers. So,
well, even more valuable is Ruler.
yeah.
There's not a lot of prob in Ruler. In fact, I was excited about Thor because of the fact that he has prob and he's Ruler. Well, this guy came along too. There's very few figures with Ruler keyword who have prob, and obviously with it being a generic keyword, you're not getting prob from making a theme team out of it. So he definitely has value in the constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about ruler prob, like it was a problem, but now there's so many options in this set. Like, I don't know. Once I'm playing Thor and Mandarin, like that's a lot of points already. I don't think I need to go to Dario, depending on how the team goes and whatever. But it's definitely an option. I just don't think it's like, oh, this is the ruler prob. You know what I mean?
Oh no, but it's again added benefit.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on him.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up. Why do I keep getting these guys? Nuke. 85 points, 6 range, 2 targets. Aim, Assassin, Hydra, Soldier, and Thunderbolt's keywords. Assembled Bolts and Masters trait. A Dog Eat Dog and Eye for an Eye is a second trait. Free, choose Nuke or an adjacent friendly character and modify the chosen character's attack and damage by +1 this turn. At the end of your turn, deal the chosen character 1 unavoidable damage. Special movement power in his last 4 clicks. Charge, Flurry, Plasticity. When Nuke or an adjacent friendly character KOs an opposing character after resolutions, heal Nuke 1 click. 85 points, kind of on that. Like this is a more aggressive ideal where you saw that other Captain America, he was really well rounded. This is like super aggro mode for Nuke, and like it's not even fooling you if you look at the last 4 clicks. It's Battle Fury. This is aggro Nuke, and while he's pretty cool and synergizes to a certain degree, where he can give other characters extra attack and damage, you'll find that 1 damage payoff is actually worth it in a lot of cases. It did, and like I say this is a great sealed figure. I don't foresee myself using this guy in constructed myself. Did this not have the Power Elite trait?
No, I think it was just the clones,
Okay,
for some reason.
Just checking. But yeah, so it's a really cool character. There's a lot of synergy that this character has with in as far as sealed goes. Like this is a character I don't mind having because he's not required to share keywords with who he's giving the extra attack and damage to. And if you get 4 damage and have to take 1 instead of like 3 damage and not take any, like there's kind of a 50-50 there. You got to make sure you're choosing your targets properly. It's not always going to use this power. But at the same time, if that character was next to him and killed somebody, heal up. So, that's actually in his last 4 clicks. Never mind. Ignore me on that.
Yeah.
But the starting running shot, not bad. He is indomitable. He has 6 range for 2 targets for 85 points. I'm not going to crap on this guy for sealed, but I am not using this guy in constructed.
Hell of a casual figure, though.
Yes.
I have no compunctions about crabbing on figures, though. Dr. Faustus costs 45 points, has the Hydra team ability. Keywords include Hydra, Skeleton Crew, and Scientist. Okay, so he has.
It's okay.
Yeah. He according to the evidence thread, he has a trait, but I believe in fact it to be a special ability. Called Manipulate Sharon to assassinate Captain America. Mind Control Stealth. When Dr. Faustus uses Mind Control, after resolutions, deal 2 penetrating damage to each character he hit. So far, you're getting really excited. That KO'd another character this turn. Suddenly, you're less excited.
It is a special movement power, not a trait.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that now.
I was just being snide.
It's
He's again in this set. You know, you look at that 5 range, and you actually think that it's. Oh no! Wait, it really is 5 range because he's not shield. Nor will you be surrounded. Like you could surround him with shield if you want to break theme to do it. It's what you'll have to do, considering he doesn't even have sidestep to help him get around. So getting into position to pull off his mind control is not going to be super easy. He at least does have shape change to give him the possibility of surviving, and precision strike off the top will be helpful with the 1 damage that he does. Thankfully, his damage continues to be 1 throughout, but he can perplex it up on his second and third click and maybe outwit the defense. So there's a chance that he might be able to get his 1 damage through. Just make sure you try to get within 5 squares and survive long enough to do it. And be careful not to push because he doesn't have willpower until the end when he goes down to a 16 defense. Real good figure. Christopher Marlowe is spinning in his grave.
Tom, I don't know if you put up my light or you're just casting shade.
It's funny. I feel like we're doing it piece by piece, but somehow like half my pieces are turning into a roast.
I'm good with it. I'm quite content. I mean, yeah. All right. Does anybody want to add to the stomping of Faustus before we move on?
Yeah.
Wait, stomping on Faust? What?
Yeah, right. I feel like they're getting us back for characters named Faust.
It's like we're sorry about it. He's got Faust in his name. Here's another piece of trash.
Skeleton Crew is a keyword that exists and is completely overlapping with Hydra. Yeah, no thanks.
All right, Mike. You're next.
Well, funnily enough, it's like Tom gets those ones, and then I get these ones, and I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. I spy with my little eye something much more fascinating than Faustus. Spy Master. So Spy Master, he comes in at 65 points again. A lot of 65-point figures.
Somehow.
Underworld team ability. He's got a 6-range single target. He's got Aim, Hammer Industries, Magia, Spy, and Zodiac.
Perfect. I know what I'm playing for next year's World.
Oh, man. Beware the Zodiac theme team coming out.
I know. I guess this is hints of something to come or whatever. I better check my horoscope on that one. But
hey, can't he be given free attacks by Fancy Dan?
Yeah. No, isn't that Enforcers? It's Enforcers, not Magia.
Yeah.
I retire.
Yeah. I know.
So
I
does
know.
Fancy Dan.
It's too bad. But it's somebody you could pair up with Vulture, and they have theme naturally.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, he's got Espionage, we already mentioned. He's also got My Espionage Elite. During game setup, when establishing theme teams, you may treat the spy keyword as a named keyword. Ooh, I like that. Memories of Captain Venom there. Unique modifier, friendly characters with the spy keyword modified defense +1 if occupying, hindering, or obscuring terrain. Well, many spy characters have stealth or espionage traits, so they're clearly already going to be in there. So that's also very useful. And then he's got a special attack power in his last 3 clicks. Free, choose a standard attack power. Spy Master can use that power until your next turn. I will say that if that special attack power was on his first 3 clicks, this figure would be fantastic for 65 points because already making a generic keyword into a name keyword is good, especially something like Spy where there's enough low point figures. I also would like to point out that Unseen has the Spy keyword.
I was going to say it if you didn't.
Oh, yeah. I've already built a couple of teams with Unseen and Spy Master. And with some of those what are those industrial spy guys? They're fun. Beetle Pod on Unseen can carry one of those guys. Yeah, it's fun. So I think he brings something potentially to Constructed, but the 65 points just feel again a little overcosted. Like if he was 50 points for sure. 100% I would be building a lot with him. The 65 points just I don't know. It's just he's just a smidge high to try and work into well-crafted constructed teams. I think you definitely have to look at him in sealed because we're going to get a lot of spy obviously in this set, and he makes some interesting stuff. It's hard to build theme and get probs in sealed, so if you get lucky and get spy and can make a name theme out of it, like you definitely got to look at him. So interesting figure. I think he could have a lot of fun, solid values, but just you know what I'm saying for Constructed.
It makes me wish the Romulans were so much better.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think I would want to actually play that spy name theme team really in sealed. There's just like stuff that's okay enough, but I don't know. I feel like I agree
It
in
depends
that,
a
like,
lot on what you pull. Like if you've got enough
Yeah.
spy to do
yeah,
it, it might be one of your better options at that
Yeah.
point.
yeah, yeah. He just feels like way too many points for what the dial is that you actually get.
All right. You're next there, Jay.
Oh, am I with an actual solid figure that I will pull up, which I already had, but I was looking at Spy Master. Alexander Lukin has 4 range, Underworld, 40 points, Hydra Politician, Power Elite, and Ruler keywords. I'll start off with his regular traits. He has Power Elite. He has another trait where he gets Leadership, and then friendly Winter Soldiers don't count against theme teams, which is theoretically a thing. But the problem is that the good Winter Soldiers that we have now already basically have all these keywords.
Yeah, I'd
Like
rather
we've been
have
getting
them
Winter
count.
Soldier with Hydra for a while. Actually, I don't even know
Power
what Winter
Elite,
Soldier
though.
there is in Modern that doesn't already have these keywords. I don't know. It's a future proofing thing. It's fine. And then there's also an optional trait for 10 points. During force construction, you can include a character named Red Skull on your sideline, which is practically speaking only going to be the one in this set. At the beginning of your turn, roll d6. On a 4 to 6, you can choose a standard power printed on that Red Skull's card. Until your next turn, Alexander Lukin can use the chosen power. Double check if that includes standard powers listed under special powers. That's if you won. I think there's a precedent somewhere. And then also, if he would be KO'd by an opponent's attack, instead replace him with that Red Skull on the last non-KO click. That character can't be healed this game. Protected Pulse Wave. So, oh, no stealth. Ooh. Although, oh, man, I have to double check.
Well, that's the real question. Is because we were talking about
because
this
you can get
figure,
stealth off of that Red Skull.
but
if
it's
you
part
could,
of his special
that's
power.
much better. Trade leadership is good. Robux is good. 18 defense with Mastermind's good. Sidestep with Underworld is good. The problem is I don't really like the idea of having to give up double points just to get that Red Skull. And in the case of that Red Skull, the stats you get are like the really low. And it's just like, yeah, he doesn't die, and you can like maybe call on higher point stuff, but like, I don't know. I definitely see merit, at least in constructed, sealed. I sneeze. Or not.
Perplex is perplex.
Happening?
Gesundheit. He's
Yeah, I
sneezing.
just don't. He's like okay enough for sealed, and maybe okay in constructed. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. If Power Elite was more functional, if it wasn't so limited, maybe different story. But as is, I don't know.
Well put.
All right. Next up, we have the Minotaur. He's playable at 125 or 50 points. Aim, Animal, Brute, Hydra, Monster, Mystical, and Ruler keywords. It's like it's everything I love.
Yeah, boss.
He's indomitable. He's got Agger's Genius. When Minotaur starts the game, choose one. Probability control or the Mystic's team ability. Minotaur can use the chosen power or ability this game. So
awesome.
that kind of covers that he gets either of those if you bring him in from Dario Iger's power, as well as, just playing the game. And then he's got the movement power in his first 4 for the 125 point or first click for 50 points. The full gore. Gore!
Yes.
Charge. When Minotaur uses it, you may choose that he can only move in a direct path. If you do, he doesn't have a speed value, has improved movement, ignores hindering terrain, and this character can move through blocking immediately after movement resolves, destroy all blocking terrain move through, and modifies attack +1 for each 2 squares he moves. So up to, you can get a good solid 3 attack if you get your, 6 movement out of that charge. It's really cool. I like it. And the fact that he's got whole dial probability control or full or mystics, should you so choose, is really, really cool. I'm of two minds. Depends on, like, if I get some really bad packs for my sealed pool, that's when I start considering the 125 point value. But I'm probably leaning more towards 50 points, 4 clicks with some degree of damage production that comes with probability control. That's also able to get around your shape change, if I see that as a problem, could definitely lend itself to some awesomeness. And if you can get off a good solid full gore, that he pays for himself for sure. So for constructed, I think the only time I'd ever see him is if I'm really pushing to keep a Dario Agger, but obviously not leaning towards it too heavily on constructed. But for sealed, I'm probably considering this guy.
For reference, teams of Minotaur won both Warehouse and 401 North Sealeds.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that traded probability control is just so awesome, especially when it's well defended. Like, I like the fact that he's got a full dial of heavy damage reduction. And in a sealed setting, having good damage reducers, having good defenses really goes a long way, which is why it's such a challenge to play Trick Shot number 28.
Tom is the king of the segue today. This is why you didn't want me introducing all the characters.
I'm not going to slag this guy, and we'll see why soon enough. He's 50 points. He's a Dark Avenger, Thunderbolts, and Police. He's 5 clicks deep, and his defenses are pretty uninspired, with 17s followed by 16 with nothing but willpower up front. You may think that somewhere in his trait you're going to get a solution to that, and you're sort of right. Within the trait itself, it's nothing. He's got the Assembled Bolts and Masters, one like so many others. But he does have an opening special, which is interesting. Before I get to it, though, just a quick look at the dial. Very consistent numbers, 7 across the map on movement. Starting 3 damage with 2s to follow. A starting awesome 12 attack value that drops to 11, then 10. So never goes lower than 10, but spends most of his time north of that. And he's got the cool ability to running shot 7 with an 8 range, which these days that's pretty considerable. And attacking with that 12 attack precision strike for 3 damage. And he's got a cool little damage power, which is you can do better than that. Once per turn, when a friendly character within 4 squares in line of fire would be hit by a ranged attack, you may roll 2d6 and add Trick Shot's incredibly high attack value. If your result is higher than your opponent's attack value, the attack is evaded. So he's got a once per turn ability to shoot his way out of a ranged attack. He can use it for himself because he's within 4 squares in line of fire of himself. He can use it for a friendly character. You just got to be careful because you can only do it once per turn. So be careful about your choices. I'm really on the fence about how to feel about him. I definitely think he's too soft to be a viable play in a constructed setting, as much as I want to love him. Like, I see that kind of range with a running shot, 12 attack, precision strike, and decent damage, and I want to love it. But he's not carving through any kind of terrain. Like, he's not shooting through stealth. He's not shooting through, regardless of elevation or any of that stuff. So it's just a good shot, and it is backed up by such feeble defenses that you've got to be a master of positioning, or you've got to hope that your opponents only have 1 attack in them, and it's a ranged attack so that you can try to shoot it down. It's just too situational for me to give him a full-throated endorsement, but I don't dislike him. I think that he would be fun to play as long as your hope is to be able to try to get a really important shot against a really important target, and then maybe not be so worried about what happens to him after that.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did note, it was Edward Sheldon's podcast, and he mentioned the idea of using him in conjunction with the Black Panther, the Chase Black Panther, giving him like a third evasion option, where I think you'll have like shape change, super senses, and then this, or impervious or something. I don't know that power set, but yeah.
He has impervious and senses, and then if you add shape change, I'll shape change.
I mean, who on earth is targeting the Black Panther at that point?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike. You might want to unmute to do it too.
Yeah, we'll hear you.
Sorry about that. Sorry, because I was crunching. So next we have number 29 in the set, Zeke Stain. I guess that's Zebediah Stain.
It sounds like something you would. It sounds like something you would yell in German.
Right? Zeke Stain.
Zeke Stain.
Right.
He is 100 points. He's got the Underworld team ability. He's got a 6-range single target. His keywords, he's got a bunch of those: Armor, Hammer Industries, Hellfire Club, Power Elite, and Scientist. He's got the Power Elite trait, of course. Big shock there. He has a special movement power on his 3rd through 6th click, which is when automated repulsor bolts. When Zeke Stain has 2 action tokens, he has free make a ranged attack. So that's pretty good. Your double token, you get to free attack, which also means you could basically attack twice in a turn because you can give him an action that turn to get the 2nd token and then follow it up with a nice free attack. That's fun stuff. He has a special defense power on his last 4 clicks, reverse engineering, energy shield deflection, toughness, and willpower. Also very helpful so that he's not continuing to push as he's getting those 2 tokens to get himself to make those free attacks. So some nice synergy there. And then he's got a special damage power that's sort of intermixed down the dial. It's like every other click. Perplex, and then free, roll a d6, remove an action token from Zeke's Stain.
5 or 6.
On a 5 or 6.
Sorry, on a 5 or 6.
You
just make you roll the dice
I'm
for
gonna
fun.
remove an action token now.
Yeah.
Roll a dice for fun, and then
and then just take it off. So Zeke is a pretty interesting figure. There's lots of ways to take multiple actions with him through both his movement power, where it says when he has the 2 tokens, he makes the free one, or potentially removing tokens off himself and continuing to act every turn. I think you have to play him aggressively because he doesn't have any of that stuff on the top click, which is tough because you see him with that 10 movement running shot, 11 attack, psychic blast, and 4 damage is hard to want to push off of. But I did get him in 1 sealed, and by playing him aggressively and with the right combination of people, he was making lots and lots of attacks. So I think you definitely want to consider him in your sealed pulls. Constructed, I don't think so. Again, I just think he gets eaten alive too quickly. He's outwittable. He's not hiding with any kind of stealth. 1 or 2 big hits. You could outwit his defense, call in a Wolverine, charge over, flurry, and take him out, right, with the 1 action. So I think he's way too soft for the 100 points to ever play in any kind of constructed. But definitely you got to look at this guy in sealed. Especially if you can team him up with a couple of other figures, maybe with some good perplexes and stuff to make his early hits that much more valuable.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those. I find this is one of those rare characters where I would play him in sealed, but you have to just not care.
Yeah,
you are not allowed to care.
Yeah, you just have to keep you instinctually don't want to really push him, but you have to.
Yeah.
Like, he really only gets good as he goes down the dial and starts getting tokens and removing tokens, and yeah.
Jay?
Wasp is a figure, I guess. She has 5 range, dual targets, Avengers keyword, because as you know, she's a founding Avenger. 75 points. Avengers, celebrity, Lady Liberator, scientist, spy, Wakanda keywords. Assembled Avengers trait, espionage trait, and then an anti-espionage trait because she has another trait. Wasp-sized annoyance. Opposing characters within 5 squares can't use improved targeting abilities. I wish this dial was a little reorganized because starting off with sidestep instead of having running shot that you push onto seems iffy. If you're paying 75 points, it's just hard enough to kill, I guess. But only sidestep for a quarter of your team is a lot. Leadership is nice. But then if you're paying the lower points, you're just getting even less for the point investment. So I feel like it's probably an okay enough play if you have some really good characters, but that if they got if they were shot at through their stealth, through espionage, she's very situational. Or I don't know. I saw her played on an Avengers team where the person only had those exact options. It was fine. It's a perfectly okay figure for sealed. For constructed, I'm not seeing it, unfortunately. It's a nice trait though, but
it's
just not on the right figure. Yeah, I mean, she does all the waspy things. She sidesteps and stings you. She has running shot and cap. She does all the things she's supposed to. It just doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't all quite add up.
Almost kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Well, she's gonna say she's 5 to 10 points too expensive at both starting lines.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of the Ultimates Wasp, though.
Yeah. Oh, terrible jokes come to mind. Go, please.
Yeah, I know exactly where you were going.
So next up we have Jolt.
Thank you.
3 range with 25 points. She's a speedster and a thunderbolt. She's got the Assembles Bolt and Masters trait, and she's got a special movement power on all 3 of her clicks. Can't sit still. Flurry, sidestep. When Jolt uses sidestep after resolutions, roll a d6 on a 4 to 6. Jolt can use sidestep at no cost. This can repeat. All right, I'm gonna level with you. I love everything about this character if it works. And if it works, it's 25 points, and your opponent goes, "Wait, what just happened?" As you sidestep 4 or 5
across the whole map.
or you like somehow sidestep like half the map, and then suddenly flurried in their face. Other than that, if you don't get the LOL out of it, you spent 25 points. It's not a huge investment. I am not super plussed by this. I don't see much application as far as constructed is concerned. Just ultimately a very character to fill in the slot, I think, for the next one. Tom?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, somewhere out there is some person, and I do mean that singularly, one person sitting in their basement crying about the fact that it's been since Fantastic Four, since their favorite character in comics, Jolt, has shown up, and what we obviously need is another Jolt. So, good for you, Jebediah. We've got a second Jolt for you. This one's Prime Jolt. And this Prime Jolt is going to, well, it's basically have the Speed Force. It's been renamed for the purposes of this set because I guess the DC and Marvel ne'er shall the two meet. A much more usable dial, though. Assembled bolts and masters, which we know. And as I said, for those who are not aware of the old Speed Force power, this is exactly the same thing, only using the word kinetic token rather than Speed Force token. A trait that says if Jolt moves 1+ squares and hits 1+ character, after resolutions, give her a kinetic token. If she's got 1 or more kinetic tokens, she can use willpower. If she has 2 or more kinetic tokens, she can use energy explosion as free, boss. And if she has 4+ kinetic tokens, she deals penetrating damage, which actually sounds maybe in some ways cooler than it is, considering her damage value is so low. If you've got the ability to shore it up on your team, then by all means go for it. But the important thing here is getting that first one so you can get onto willpower, because then you're a really effective harasser. She's got 6 range, 6 clicks of life with top 4 clicks on hypersonic with flight, rounding out flurry at the end, some precision strike up top, which is always great when your hypersonic character only has 2 damage. Precision strike is a lovely thing to see, and 18 super senses off the top, followed by 17 super senses, then drops to ESD and eventually combat reflexes for when she's getting in close. A very effective harassing piece. I would be very happy to see this in my sealed pull. I think I'd be a hard sell trying to put it onto a constructed team just because it doesn't do anything well enough for a constructed force. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but certainly I'm happy to have her in my booster, and I think that if she can get that first attack, which is not so unlikely really with a huge swing and an 11 attack precision strike, then she's getting willpower to be able to stay on the attack, and as soon as she gets the second one, that free energy explosion is really awesome, especially in a set like this where people like to cluster together to make use of the shield team ability or just taxing people around because you've got larger teams. Jolt can be a real pain to deal with, so I think she's a really good figure.
All right. Any disagreements on that one before we move on? All right.
No. I will say though that some seasoned players are excited to see Jolt in both versions because I like the Thunderbolts. Okay, so one is a short dial because she died quickly, and the other one is now when she came back. All right. Speaking of season, Potts,
get right in there.
Perfect.
Pepper Potts, 25 points, no team abilities, no range. She's only 4 clicks long, but she's got Stealth, ESD, and Perplex. Perplex for 2 of the clicks, Outwit for 2 of the clicks. And she's got Avengers and Stark Industry keywords, and only 1 trait. Proof that Tony Stark has a heart. Oh, love you 3,000, Pepper.
Another Gwyneth Paltrow line.
Right? Goop. Once per turn for all characters with this trait. With a friendly character.
This player with dupe.
Dupe and goop.
Dupe and goop.
Once per turn for all characters with this trait, when a friendly character named Iron Man makes an attack, you may re-roll a 1 or 2. If the re-roll is a 6, heal both Pepper Potts and that Iron Man 1 click. I have to say that this figure immediately gets a lot more value because of that trait and the fact she has Avengers keyword. Because she's 25 points, so she's low enough with Perplex to fit her on an Avengers team. Perplex is always useful to add on, but if you are building an Avengers-themed team that has Iron Man on it, I think you definitely have to look at playing Pepper Potts. I mean, why wouldn't you? There's no range or line of fire on this reroll of a 1 or a 2. So that means Iron Man anywhere on the map now doesn't have to worry about that first crit miss. And in fact, Since it's not once per turn. Okay, good. I was going to make sure that it said once per turn in there, because it just said you may re-roll a 1 or a 2. Ad infinitum, you could always kind of get out of it. But yeah, once per turn. But still, that's great. Anywhere on the map, one time knowing that he's not going to be afraid necessarily of that. Perplex is always useful. So I think she definitely has some potential, again, in constructed because of that, provided you're building under those parameters. I don't necessarily think that you would immediately go to her for the 25 points overall in Avengers. I think there's other things maybe that it can fill in, but I think you have to consider her. And in terms of the sealed, yeah, I mean, she's only 25 points and she's got Perplex. Perplex is useful. It's helpful. Like, you can't deny that. It's support for not using up a lot of points from your overall build. So definitely you have to consider her filling in points to get that Perplex on teams, and I think you have to consider it in meta as well.
I would definitely spend 25 to 40.
You don't really have to consider very much very often.
Nice, Tom. You see,
Nice.
you caught them, Tom.
This is awesome. I love this trend. Let's keep it going.
Victor Mancha, that's about it. No, he has the Runaways trait from before, stealth, and then sidestep if an opposing character is within 4. Taking in the hits you don't have to is a special defense power. Toughness, friendly characters can use Mastermind, but Alex Wilder already has it. But only to choose Victor Mancha. When Victor Mancha is chosen for Mastermind by a character that chooses a keyword, he can use a slightly less bad reducer and invulnerability. I like the first click, but then like once there's any damage taken from let's say Mastermind, it just all kind of falls apart. Yeah,
enough said.
If we got like another round of Runaways, I would consider it. Avengers keyword, I don't know, it's just not quite there. I'm glad this is a short entry because it's already 11 and we're only at uncommons, so yikes.
All right, next up, Skyn, I don't know how you say it. 4 range, 3 targets, Masters of Evil, 50 points, sidestep, Fire Splash, whatever. Celebrity, Masters of Evil, Thunderbolts, keywords, assembled bolts and masters trait, unravel your soft defenses, incapacitate when Skyn uses it, opposing characters can't use super senses or shape change, weave a disguise is a special damage power in her first 2 clicks, shape change, adjacent standard friendly characters can use shape change. I think her damage power is really the thing that makes me more excited about Skyn, because, giving everybody else shape change as well as her having shape change can go a long way. Aside from that, I'm not like, this is one of those, it does 1 damage, and it's mostly there to incapacitate at 4 range with sidestep. It's okay. Masters of Evil, even though I don't want to push this character and I don't want to push her further than pushing her, I feel like kind of bloats her cost possibly. But overall, I'll probably use this in sealed and just kind of take back everything I'm saying about it, but I'm not super plus by this character other than her special damage power, which she only has on 2 clicks. Laid down Perplex ups her a little in my books, but I'm not super excited for it.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't have a great pivot. I'm just going to run straight into Iron Man.
Cool.
I'll think of one later. We all know what this does because he's got the same traits as all the other ones: the variable weapon system, the Avengers assembled or assembled Avengers, and the shifting focus. I am Iron Man. If the first one was your close combat beat stick, and your second one was your range combat fighter, this is, I suppose, your more tactical, well-defended board controller with some stealth to help protect him, along with invincible, which is awesome. I love his defense style here. 3 invincible followed by regen is pretty awesome. He's not that hard to put down at the end because considering he loses stealth. So once he's on regen, he's got nothing else. But all the same, if you're allowed to live long enough, you can shift into something better, or you can heal. And if you fail to heal well enough, you can shift into something better. I love the fact that he's got upfront outwit with an astonishing 9 range. A rarely seen thing these days. So I think it's really cool that he's got this deep range outwit. I do think that in some ways, to me, he's the hardest sell if I only pull 1 Iron Man because he's the least combat ready and is set with this much stealth. Then I'm and stealth busting. Then I think that he is a hard sell. However, he does round out the Iron Man package well if you do pull all 3, or if you're planning on playing him constructed. I think he's a hard playing constructed, but it's nice that you've got this very well defended outwitting version as well. And of course, he's lending poison, incap, and precision strike to your other ones, which is always nice too.
Yeah.
Well, I almost like him as a range attacker better, just because he can pick the attack powers, 9 range, precision strike, and outwit. Like that almost seems like a better why would I don't know.
It's just all the stealth. I mean, the challenge for me, I would agree with you.
I meant in general, not Seal specifically,
in general,
because I don't think you're seeing shipping focus in Seal, but
yeah.
Well, I mean, I like the idea of this as a follow-up as well to the running shot one. If you pull off the running shot into some hindering terrain, pop to this one, now you're in stealth. Outwit anything that's going to be a pain in the butt. So it's a really good follow-up. For the close combat one, who's going to be in more prolonged fights, adding that poison where, he goes in close combat, doesn't necessarily kill the thing, next turn poison. Because we're in close combat, so. All right, Mike.
All right, figure number 36, second one in the rares. Woo! It is Citizen V. This is, I know, what a shock. This is Dallas Reardon, though, which I believe was the girlfriend of Atlas for a while. I think early on in the Thunderbolts run. She's 60 points. She's got a 5 range single target. She has the Assemble Bolts and Masters trait. She has no team ability, sorry. She's also got Star Spangled Swashbuckler, which is Leaf Climb and Leadership. Yar! Which, wow, Leap Climb, I'm excited.
Best part of the game.
Right?
She can attack regardless of elevation.
Woo-hoo. She's got the police, politician, soldier, thunderbolts, and V battalion keywords. Another very well used keyword.
Yeah.
I guess unless you want to make a team of all Citizen V now. Exciting.
Yeah.
V for anything but victory.
Or vendetta.
And then she's got a special movement power. Legacy of the battalion. Charge, sidestep. When Citizen V hits with a close attack, after resolutions, remove an action token from a friendly character, including herself, that is adjacent to the hit target. Well, that's not so bad if you could take a token off. But, I mean, why is that guy standing there anyway? It's a really kind of boring, simple figure. I think you may consider her in Seal just for the 18 defense and shape change.
Reflexes, shape change, and 18 defense would make me take notice.
Yeah, but the 60 points, and again, we were talking about this set where there's a bunch of people who outwit things and ignore terrain and stuff. So it's a bit of a hard sell, but a base 18 is not so bad, and it's on the lower point scale. There's no way you're building anything meta around this. Like, why?
But it's traded leap climb. That's the game changer.
The traded leap climb. Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. Citizen V, not really surprised that they are as they are.
All right, Jay, what you got?
Black Panther is. You're interrupting me. I didn't have anything.
You don't have to add to Citizen V. Shut up.
No, I meant a segue joke. Don't worry.
Okay.
So Black Panther.
Anything you came up with would be a real reach, which is more than Black Panther can say with 3 range.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Actually, really like this Black Panther. So you have 3 range. You have a wild card via team player. 85 points is just about the perfect number now for call-in related purposes. You have Indom, improved movement elevated, as well as hindering from espionage, which will be good because he has Outwit to start. You have Assembled Avengers, Vibranium Daggers, special attack power to start, Blades. And when Black Panther's attack roll is double, he deals penetrating damage. Just feels like a special power from 5 years ago. Damage power. Black Panther has protected outwit. He has leadership. Opposing characters can't give Black Panther action tokens or modify his combat values. Randomly doesn't care about the Kobik Cube or Iceman Colossal with the free ink cap or whatever, I guess. Sure. Wildcard is iffy with the keywords, which are Avengers, Illuminati, Ruler, Wakanda Warrior. This dial as an overall package to me is very solid for sealed. Having protected outwit will help, even though there's a lot of other characters that have espionage or not espionage, because it's actually not called espionage here. And for constructed, this is another one of those dials that I just really like. It's just missing one or two like little things just to finish it off. It's like almost there. Because I think the dial's just long enough. The stealth traded is good. Everything there is good. I just feel like it's kind of a bit soft, even considering the 7 clicks. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there'll be random equipment that makes me gasp and make this work.
All right. Well, Azuri is our next one. 40 points for a 5-click dial. Ignores elevated and hindering from movement. Has the past, ruler, Wakanda, and warrior keywords. You will not take Wakanda is the trait that gives this character when a friendly character with the Wakanda keyword attacks an opposing character that's closer to your starting area than that character's starting area. That friendly character modifies attack and damage +1. And then Wakanda's chieftain, the Black Panther, is a special damage power on the first 3 clicks. Exploit weakness, leadership. When Azuri KOs an opposing character that's closer to your starting area than that character's starting area, remove an action token from each friendly character with the Wakanda keyword. This is what I was talking about with a little bit of synergy with Ross Solomon. Aside from that, 40 points for 5-click dial. That's got some pretty solid combat stats. I mean, if you pull this the rare prime in sealed, awesome, use it. For constructed, it's a good piece in the Wakanda team, but yeah. It's just
too bad there's already a really good prime in that team, or at least a prime I like.
Yeah, there's just another better Wakandan prime. So
just cheat, whatever.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
All right.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you were talking about a prime, because we have a kind of a first in HeroClix next. Rather than a figure at 0.38, we actually just have a card with a trait for Prime Vulture. The trait reads, plus 50 points, put Prime Vulture on an Avengers team. Very interesting. No figure, as far as I know. I could be wrong. I haven't opened it, so there may be some plastic that comes with it. But it's pretty much 50 points, put Vulture on the team. And that's all I have to say. I'm not going to waste your time talking about the Steve Rogers because everyone knows what he does. He puts Vulture on your Avengers team. He also puts a bunch of other things on. He's super good, and if you're not sure why, lots of people have talked about it. Go find their opinions. He's got perplexed. Next.
All right, Mike. You okay? You gonna make it through after Tom's introduction of Steve Rogers?
I feel almost like second string following up that, much like Sam Wilson is Captain America. So we've got Sam Wilson. He's 75 points. He's got 6 range, double target. He's got the Avengers team ability. He's also got the Avengers keyword, shield, and soldier keywords. No surprises there. Pretty standard stuff on the dial with the running shot, 11 attack, 18 defense with the impervious. So similar to that other Captain America we were looking at earlier. And he's got leadership, of course. He's got the Assembled Avengers trait. He's got Living Legend trait, which all the caps in the set have. And then he's got a special defense power on every other click but top click, carrying on Steve's legacy, super senses, toughness, modified defense +2 if Captain America moved during your last turn. Now, I assume that means that Captain America specifically, because really shouldn't it say this Captain America? We just had a set full of Captain America. I'd be like, Captain America moved. This Captain America moved. Why doesn't he have a +2 defense? Anyway, if that was the case, then sure, he could be a little bit broken and you could cheat with him a little bit. But he's pretty much just a standard figure doing what you'd expect. Nothing special from him. Easily outwittable. Maybe you'd play him in Seal, depending on what else you pulled. Obviously, Living Legend means he's going to last a little bit longer, and with a good die roll, you could move back up to something good. I don't see him really being played and constructed.
All right.
Do I have to talk about this figure? Like,
you sound like Thor about it.
Oh. Yeah, well, the problem is that when you pull this Thor, it comes in bubble wrap, and you're like, oh, something really cool. Lots of stuff in the set has bubble wrap, and then you pull the Thor. In fairness,
it's not that bad.
In fairness, too, you could get both in bubble wrap if you just. That can happen too. Get the double bubble wrap.
In fairness, it is a very good sculpt. So Thor exists and has a 7 range, Avengers team ability, 100 points. That should probably be cut by a fair amount. Asgardian Avengers DD Warrior. Keywords, assembled Avengers trait. Another trait, once per turn when Thor hits, after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to a hit character, then knock back that character 2 squares. This dial just feels like it'll be double tapped. Like 18 impervious for 100 points is not really that impressive. There's outwit in the set. There's penetrating damage. So you take a solid hit of 3, and then your 100-point character is half dead and showing toughness. And that's all I think I really need to say.
I'm just trying to check to make sure, because the way that power was worded, I want to make sure it was worded for, it was like a hit character, but it does only have the 1 target. So I guess they're just covering their butts on that one.
Well, there is top dial energy explosion, so.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I wish it was better. Because I really like Jane Foster Thor, and on the surface of it, it's a good-looking dial. It's just 25 points too many.
Yep.
Yeah. So next we move to the Red Skull. 5 range with the Hydra and Underworld team abilities, 75 points. Aim, Hydra, Power Elite, Ruler, Skeleton Crew, and Soldier keywords. Ignores hindering for movement. He's got the Power Elite trait. And then he's got returning time and time again to plague the world is a special movement power on clicks 1, 2, and his last click, which gives him sidestep and stealth. He is indomitable. He's got the subversive strategist, leadership, outwit, shape change. When Red Skull succeeds at leadership or shape change, give him a subversive token, maximum 3. Free, remove 1 or more or 1+ subversive tokens. Red Skull can use Outwit an additional number of times this turn equal to the subversive tokens removed. So if you remove 1, you get a second use of Outwit, and so on and so forth. It's 1 or more, so it's kind of equivalent to. Okay, so 75 points for this dial. It's not super, like, it's a pretty solid combat dial, but it's not, like, super fantastic. It's not running shot. It's not charging. It's kind of inching around the map and sticking in stealth for the most part, which is unfortunate in the set that it's in because we've talked about how many characters already have some version of the espionage trait. So then we have to kind of look at, how are we willing to keep this character alive for the 75 points that we're spending on it? And I'm just talking about sealed in general. For the most part, constructed, you're going to try to build around this character to a degree. I don't know how much they're pointing the Power Elite trait at. I mean, we have a 20-point character with it, so I don't know what's up with that. My headphones are about to run out of power, so I'll just deal with that as we go. But overall, it's a solid Red Skull. It's not a super overcosted Red Skull like previous versions that we've had. I'm okay with this style. I'm not super excited about it. I'm not singing the praises, but at the same time, if you can start to collect those subversive tokens with the leadership, and you start to really get multiple uses of Outwit, his value starts to go up massively. So I'm not going to completely crap on this character. He is solid, but I do have to take into account my leadership and my shape change roles when I consider this guy. And my karma affects his dogma. So that's my thoughts on it. It's a really good character, really solid Red Skull, but he does make a good solid squishing noise in a lot of situations. So
I am jumping a little ahead, but we did just see that the Fantastic Four location bonus for leadership. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of location bonuses, thank you, Jay, for creating the segue for me. We're going to look at number 42, Minotaur. Minotaur is a 5-click dial for 50 points with some solid reducers and vulnerability and toughness down the dial with some upfront battle fury, which is always something I like to see. He runs through hindering and destroys blocking on his way through, and the reason I mentioned it was that he has a trait which says that this game, opposing characters can't use location bonus effects, but may use the constellation bonus instead. This is a very interesting, with Animal Brute and Monster keyword, piece to keep in the back of your head for that reason, and I have to be honest, that reason alone. Beyond that, he's a pretty standard smash through blocking and hit things. He does have the ability to do some extra damage with, I think, probably my favorite worded special power in the set. Miklos the Minotaur hates all men and fears none, even one of iron. I'm definitely going to say that if I ever pull him and play him. My opponent eventually is going to be like, yes, you're using charge. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm using Miklos the Minotaur hates all men and fears none, even one of iron. It's charge, and when he uses it, he modifies attack and damage +1 for every piece of blocking terrain that he moves through and destroys as part of the action. I mean, even if you don't have some way of spamming barrier, there's lots of maps that give you lots of opportunities to do that type of thing. And that's cool. I like the fact that if he wins map, then he can theoretically choose a map that allows him to optimize that effect. If he loses map and you're playing in a setting where your opponent has a map bonus, then they don't get to use that bonus. So I think that's really neat. I just wish that there was something more about the character himself that made me want to play him. So he's one that is good to keep in the back of your head if location bonuses ever really take over the game. Until that time, play the uncommon.
I don't know. I think the location bonus trait makes him pretty relevant for sealed.
Take that, Worlds 2018.
There you go.
Pew pew, shots fired here. All right, Mike.
Exactly.
Well, I think you're right on target with that one, Tom.
Oh,
Much like Hawkeye is often right on target. So we got Hawkeye. He's 75 points. He's got team player. He's got a 7 range triple target. We like that triple target. Some nice values up top, at least in terms of the attack, with a 12 attack. I love a juicy 12 attack. Yes. He has improved targeting. This character can make range attacks while adjacent to opposing characters, so obviously that's helpful for Hawkeye because that's his thing. He's got the Assembled Avengers trait, and then he's also got Not Tricks Tactical, which is a trait that says Precision Strike. And then Hawkeye may use Precision Strike and or Range Combat Expert even while targeting more than one character. So really, if we'd got to this character earlier, I would have learned about how Precision Strike now only works on single characters. But anyway, conveniently, I got to read this character, and now I learned again. And then he's got a special movement power, which is Running Shot, Sidestep, and Stealth. I think is a pretty solid 75 points, especially because of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Avengers. I think you have to look at his potential with those keywords. He is a colossal killing machine quite easily, seeing as how he can triple target, and he's got 3 damage and can use Precision Strike on each of those targets. So pretty easy for him to get rid of a group of them. With team player and having S.H.I.E.L.D., you could be putting him on a team full of S.H.I.E.L.D. guys and boost that range to a 10 range triple target, which isn't so bad. And maybe you spend some power actions to boost the damage up to 6. So, I think there's a lot of potential with this Hawkeye. 75 points means there's a lot of room to build around him, again, with those S.H.I.E.L.D. or Avengers keywords. And even in sealed, I think you have
Okay, hold on a second, guys. I need to briefly interrupt because I'm messing with sound here, and unfortunately, our sound source is messed up. So just give me a second. Sorry, folks, if you're watching live on the stream. I just need to deal with this very quickly.
Because they've blanketed it to all these people in the set that are spies and espionage people, and they're saying, well, we're not saying that's who he is, so now we can't give it to him.
All right,
but they also gave the trait to the 2 characters.
Did you manage to track down the ghost of the machine there, Jason?
I found the ghost of the machine.
Oh, nice, Tom.
It's a layup for you, Jay.
I'll get a good one in one day. Espionage trait, Bolton Masters trait, phasing, and then Ghost can use Incap as close at no cost, but only to target any number of characters he moved through this turn, regardless of adjacency. So he kind of gets in there, he outwits a little bit, he phases, and he ghosts his way out of there, and he incaps you. I mean, he's your rare, so you're probably considering him. The stealth posting outwit is good. Pushing on to 18 reflexes with stealth is good if your opponent doesn't have too much espionage, but it's a set, so they will have espionage. Yeah, Yeah, for sealed, it's probably just okay enough. For constructed, I guess it really depends on if you think the incap trait will be good. But that's 50 points starting for 10 at a 10 attack, and I don't know. I mean, it's maybe okay, but like
I love phasing through people and then attacking them with incap. But then again, I loved the Kitty Prime that did that, and I never used her. So
yeah. All right. Speaking of Ghosts of Christmas Past, Baron Zemo, 60 points. Masters of Evil, 5 range. I got Tom's face still focused because I love it. Masters of Evil, Past, Scientist, and Soldier. I was looking for your approval. Assembled Bolts and Masters traits, and then Captain America, my mortal foe. Opposing characters that can use leadership or combat reflexes modify attack -2 when attacking Baron Zemo. He's also got another trait, Adhesive X, spread across the city and on the heroes. When beginning a move, opposing characters modify their speed -1 and decrease their breakaway rolls -1. That move, unless they're occupying, hindering, or water terrain. It's a what you see is what you get dial. At 60 points, he's not a bad leader for your Masters of Evil squads. The Adhesive X is going to be obnoxious to have to deal with, for sure. And, you know, in this set for Seal, that Captain America, my mortal foe trait goes quite a distance because there's a lot of leadership and combat reflexes in this set. So, just, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to having him in my Seal pool. I'm not coming up with a great deal of ideas for him in Constructed myself, but others may disagree.
Yeah, if I pulled him, I wouldn't say I would be too attached to playing him.
It's kind of a weird choice. Like, I'm assuming the reason they made him unique was that they somehow forgot that his Adhesive X trait could have just been made as a unique modifier. Since that's the only real reason I can see to make him a unique. And speaking of characters that don't need to be unique, Unique Black Knight at 46. Here we have a Masters of Evil team ability with a range of 6 and 65 points. We've got some flying, running shot with toughness and outwit. Already a pretty good opening lineup of powers, but it gets better, folks, because the attack power that he starts with is free. Choose a standard attack power, and you can use it until your next turn. So playing with your WWE rings, if you want more options, and even if you don't, that's pretty great. And that's not all, because opposing characters within range that can use the standard power chosen by Black Knight modify their attack by -1. So on all those turns where you have to clear and there's no other thing to do, you can use that power in a sort of a counter way against characters that are coming for you, and otherwise use it to get whatever you want. I mean, here's your running shot pulse wave piece for the set. Nothing wrong with that for 65 points. Also, let's not forget the assembled Bolts and Masters trait, as well as Giant Man and the Wasp, my mortal foes. What a pathetic mortal foes those are. Opposing characters that are tiny, giant, or colossal, which there's not a lot of in the set, modify attack -2 when attacking Black Knight. So I guess, you know, that is a little bit more useful in the Constructed. Here's one of the rare pieces that I think, even though I don't think he has a ton of usage in Constructed, I think he's more catered towards it. Between pick a power, the ability to shut down characters based on their attack powers, and having a natural defense against big characters, and there are tons of those out there these days, maybe there's some functionality there. I'm not convinced, but I think he'll have more legs there perhaps than he does in Sealed, and either way, I think that he will occupy a unique slot in my shelf.
Spy keyword.
That's true. Spy keyword is always good, but again, I don't mind a unique rare. I just, you've got all these. Invariably, he'll be the one that I pull like 3. In fact, already now I have 2 of them, and I don't know what to do with the second one.
Oh. You mean, speaking of figures that I've already pulled 3 of,
yeah,
and my desire to talk about this figure melted away as soon as I saw it.
I thought that I was setting you up with, I don't know what to do with my extra figures.
Yeah, right?
You melted them.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Melter. I have so many Melters. It's because I talked bad about him on the show.
Yeah, we
and I
did
keep
talk a
pulling
lot
him.
of trash about Melter on
right?
the show.
And I have pulled 3 now in all the rares I keep pulling in Sealed. So anyway, let's talk about him again really briefly because no one cares. He's 50 points. He's Masters of Evil. He's got a 5 range. He's got running shot with a lame 10 attack, 17 defense, toughness, and enhancement because, you already don't want to play him, so you might as well make somebody else better. He's got.
You can always make a second Melter.
Yeah, right. Your unique figure that I have 3 of. Hammer Industries, Lethal Legion, Magia. Wow, these are some great keywords.
Get Vulture, man.
And Masters of Evil, exactly. He's got Assembled Bolts and Masters. We already know what it is. He's got Iron Man, my mortal foe. Opposing characters that can use Impervious or Invulnerability modify attack when -2 when attacking Melter. Nobody's attacking Melter. No one. And then he's got special attack power, melted your weapons, penetrating psychic blast. When he hits, give a melted token to a hit character. If they don't already have one for the rest of the game, a character with the melted token modifies damage -1 making range attacks, which would be really good if you had better than a 10 attack when you're trying to hit people with your Melter. And if you're playing Melter, I think you already don't understand how HeroClix works. So yeah, that's about all I can say about that.
Jay, interrupt him quick. You know how?
I don't
Oh
even
my
know.
god. Jay, watch more Simpsons.
Oh, that's where I was going with it. I couldn't
radioactive
remember. I couldn't remember if that was the actual name before I was or if I was misremembering.
The goggles, they do nothing.
I guess.
Watch out.
Yeah, I guess my
man.
brain's all mixed up from all this radiation from Radioactive Man. We have Simpsons HeroClix apparently, and he's a very rare figure to see in your booster. Probably okay enough for sealed. He has Avengers, Assembled Bolts and Masters, and he has Thor, my mortal foe, which is opposing characters that can use Energy Explosion or Quake, modify attack -2 when attacked from Radioactive Man. Wait, shouldn't this be Quake, my mortal foe? Wouldn't that be? That'd be great.
Boy, it's a tough slog getting through these Masters of Evil. They're so boring.
He also has weakening radiation. Opposing characters within three. Oh, this kit doesn't even work in this set. Opposing characters within 3 squares modify damage -1 when making close attacks, but nobody's making close attacks in this set. Honestly, it's like okay enough. Like the dial's decently long, good values except for not having move and attack. Pushing to perplex is fine, and honestly, the dial's long enough that I'd almost be willing to, if I can do something productive every turn, push him and keep pushing with Masters of Evil over and over and over again. And see
you like it? You like exploit? I mean, there's 18
exploit is a great combo.
18 impervious is not so easy to get through, and if they don't, they could regret it.
3 range with sidestep as a really strong swing. I'd be really afraid. But honestly, though, like for a rare, he's not the worst. If you can give him some shield allies, that's fine. There's Master of Evil, whatever, Thunderbolt, it's fine. Like
it's not Melter.
Not my preferred rares being sealed, but I'd be not the saddest about it.
Pros, not Melter. Cons, dial and powers.
Also, pros, not Thunderbird.
Yes, true. There are worse. Anyway, we're getting off topic. We need you to get us back in line.
I will be the Taskmaster on this one.
Thank you.
Taskmaster's a team player. He's got 6 range, 60 points. He's got Aim, Assassin, Initiative, Martial Artist, Masters of Evil, Power, Elite, Shield, and Thunderbolt keywords. It's a what you see is what you get dial with Indomitable. He ignores hindering for movement. He's got the Power Elite. Damn it, I like Taskmaster. Then I saw that. He's got the Assembled Bolts and Masters trait as well. And then his last trait, you forget that I took on the Avengers. Free, choose a standard speed or defense power printed on this card. Taskmaster can use that power until your next turn. I'm using every other character named Taskmaster over this. Aside from that, though, I'm probably going to squeeze this guy into some shield builds. Energy shield with super senses is going to be pretty cool. And regeneration whenever you want it, that's not bad. If you happen to be on charge and choose flurry, it's a good combination. Like there's good combinations you can pull off with this one, and you're always going to be picking a better speed power when you get to leap climb. So aside from that, this is not my favorite Taskmaster, but I'd use him in sealed. I'm not using him in constructed.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think he's one of the best rares. It's not, and this isn't a joke to try to set up a segue. I really do think if this is the rare you pull, I think you're happy to see him. Tons of good keywords and a pretty powerful dial.
Yeah,
I mean, I like everything that he does. I like him better than the Black Panther set one. It's kind of like the same dial you see on Taskmaster. He picks powers, but I don't know if it isn't broke.
Yeah, good one, Jay. I like it.
There you go.
It's a good segue. Certainly better than anything I'd come up with. The only thing I can think of is the fact that if you're talking about characters who, at least Taskmaster has a history of having great dials. Speaking of characters who have a history of having terrible dials, Fixer. For 50 points, we've got some TK and Perplex, basically. He does have assembled bolts and masters, and his Perplex is unique insofar as when he uses it, he can choose a single combat value other than damage and modify all friendly characters within 4 squares in line of fire. 2 good things to note about that. Number 1, it's all characters regardless of their keyword, and number 2, it's within line of fire in addition to 2 squares, so you do have to be kind of careful about your placement. But that being said, perplexing up defense on everyone, even when you're not in a theme team, is a nice thing to be able to pull off, and TK is rare enough, along with being a taxi, that I think in a sealed setting, you're not that sorry to see Fixer, you're just not that excited about it either. I wish that he did a little more, but he's a decent enough figure, and there's really not much else to say about him.
And to beat a horse dead, they do know what the unique modifier power does to Eric.
Right.
Instead of making him unique.
Oy, oy, oy.
Mm-hmm.
Mike?
Okay, well now I got no good segue from it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I got nothing. She's figure number 51. She's 45 points. She's got a 6-range single target. She has an optional 5-point trait, manipulating the team against Zemo, mind control, but only to target friendly characters of 100 points or less with the Thunderbolts keyword that aren't named Baron Zemo. She's got assembled bolts and masters, and then she's got a special movement power, intangible at will, phase teleport, and then free, roll a d6, passenger 0, phase teleport at no cost, but only to move up to half the result. There's a lot in there on that. So she could potentially move up to 3 squares with phase teleport for free, not being able to carry anybody, even though she's a flyer, is basically what the end result of that is. Yeah. She is only 45 points, so that means, and honestly, I mean, she's really 50 points, because I don't know why you wouldn't spend the 5 points to add on to her, especially if you are playing on a Thunderbolts team, because now you've got some friendly mind control to help get your guys around the map. As easily as mind controlling one of your guys to move half movement up to just get that much farther for when they're going to attack next, like Mach 10. Who's a running shot guy, somebody like that. So definitely, I think you have to consider her in any build that involves that, if that's the direction you're going to go in terms of a constructed build. So she has the potential there. But other than that, because that's all she's really bringing, it's a very limited sort of window, I feel like, of using her. In terms of in the sealed, again, she is only 45 points, so it's not so hard to fit her in. But defensively, if you get around that shape change, she's pretty soft. One good hit can really take her out. She doesn't have stealth, so she's not hiding. Not that you really mattered in this set anyway. Right. I think she actually has really technically more merit in the constructed world than in the sealed world. But if you pulled a whole bunch of Thunderbolts in this set, well, hey, here's an opportunity to have a lot of fun manipulating them in terms of that sealed.
Yeah, just the fact that she's 45 points for a better than normal running shot psychic blaster.
Yeah,
why not, man?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I got nothing for Spider-Man.
I think this is what we've covered in past episodes to some extent.
I mean, I personally want a sealed event with him. I lost to him in a sealed event recently. He does literally everything. He has 2 dials. He is the first super rare. He has the Spider-Man team ability. He has ignores pretty much everything except for indoor blocking, but no leap climb. He has traded super senses that succeeds on a 4 to 6 and is protected at wit. He has another trait where he gets to switch the dials at the beginning of the turn. You can switch him to the same click number of a different color and then heal him 1 click. So if you're not one-shotting him, he's going to get to heal. So on the first section of his dial, he has the speed and attack special powers. Speed is sidestep and stealth, and then separately free. Place Spider-Man in a square of hindering terrain within 4 line of fire. And then he has the special attack power Incap, and then Incap is free. And then when he switches over to side 2, of the track. He has free choose one of Outwit, Perplex, Close Combat Expert, or Exploit Weakness. And then he can use Chosen Power until your next turn. So he's either kind of out of the shadowsing all over the place, doing some free and cap, making some attacks, stealth, shape change to go with the traded super senses, or he's full aggro, charge, quake, and then pick maybe Exploit Weakness, or so he's very defensively sound. Even though stealth isn't as good in this set as in other situations, given the fact that he has one roll that's protected Outwit and 50-50, and then he has shape change, like, it's just good enough defensively, or they just randomly don't have stealth busting. The way I played this dial in Sealed is basically I kept him on the sidestepping portion by default, unless they were all pushed and I could go full aggro without being punished. Or if I just really needed the Outwit or Perplex in a given turn. Wildcarding is pretty good in this set. There's shield and there's other stuff. Honestly, just even free and capping every turn is obnoxious, especially because you can move up 8 as a costed action, free and cap, and then you can like Voop 6 squares back basically, or like yo-yo yourself 2 out, make the attack go back. Like there's just a lot of maneuverability. It's a I think it's my favorite Spider-Man dial ever.
He is just awesome. I mean, what more can you say?
Obnoxious to play against.
Yeah.
However good you think he is, he's better.
Yeah.
Even just incapping is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Constructed Realm, honestly, he might be good enough, but Pulse Wave vulnerable with only the 5 clicks. But I think he has a place.
You got to play him careful, but I think he's got potential.
Especially, and I like the idea of the reality gem on him for a second target for the free incap, as well as Perplex. And then, when you already have a character making multiple attacks in a turn, and an effect that has a thing, if you roll high, I think it all comes together pretty good.
Just lousy keywords, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, he's a good roads to get to victory in Sealed.
All right, good night.
No.
Next up, we have War Machine, the super rare. 100 points, Avengers and Shield key team abilities, 7 range, 2 targets. He flies, he's indomitable. He's got armor, Avengers, initiative, shield, soldier, Stark Industries, and warrior keywords. Ignores hindering for line of fire, and you can make range attacks when adjacent to opposing characters. He's got the Assembled Avengers trait. He's also got the minigun target lock. When War Machine hits, after resolutions, you may give a hit character a target lock token, then remove all other target lock tokens. Free, make a range attack using War Machine's printed attack and damage values, but only to target the character with his target lock. And then he's got a special damage power in the first 3 clicks, a variable threat response, perplex, but only to target himself. This is probably one of the best War Machines we've had in a while, because we've had a lot of War Machines that didn't have Indomitable. We've had a lot of War Machines that were just kind of okay. I really like the idea of being able to hit somebody and then hit them again, and it's really awesome when you include the fact that he's got running shot psychic blast off the top of 4 damage with perplex to target himself, so that's either a 12 attack or a 5 damage if you're going on the offensive, or he's got a 19 defense on the defensive. I really like this guy for Sealed, and I can't wait for everything that makes this guy not interesting in Constructed to reconsider him in Constructed. I think he's a really good character as far as Iron Man, or as far as War Machines are concerned, and as far as just generally good characters. I like this guy a lot, and if you pull him in Sealed, first of all, you got a super rare, so awesome. Second of all, play him.
Absolutely. He's what's funny about it is that he's so aggressive, and then when the time came for them to figure out how they wanted to design the prime slot, they're like, what if it was more aggressive?
It's like, all right, we got a really aggressive War Machine. Let's make the Punisher a War Machine now.
Yeah.
What, and boy, so well named.
I was going to say one thing about War Machine, leading into a pun, but really, though, I was going to say...
Big pun.
His stats are really good, and everything there is good. The only problem is... It's not a problem, but given how his dial is only 6 clicks, you do need to be careful about just either taking care of your opponent's outwit, or just... Because there is enough outwit that he could really get taken out hard, because you don't want to be in a situation where you go in guns blazing... like Jason, and just miss, and then you're like, oh man, and then you get punished super hard.
Get it?
There you go.
Well, and though to be like, and to not to continue the pun, but rather to continue the point. When you land on your last couple clicks in Earthbound, that's a real kick in the nuts.
We're still talking about this. I've got the Punisher already up, and we're still talking about the old War Machine.
Oh no!
Well, anyway,
I'm Earthbound with 12-4 range combat expert.
We don't need to dwell too long on the Punisher War Machine because I think once I read his powers, it'll be pretty clear. Yeah. First, to get it out of the way, he does have the option of adding 5 points, leading me to once again think that Citizen V must have been a misprint because this is the exact same trait for 5 points rather than 25. Yeah. During force construction, you can include a character named Punisher of 75 points or less on your sideline, which is no one in this set, but it's most of the Punishers we've ever had. When Punisher War Machine would be KO'd, instead of replacing with the Punisher on his last click, he'll roll a d6, heal him half the results. In this game, he can't be healed any other way. Protected Pulse Wave. So yeah, for plus 5 points, he's got a kind of a quasi-stop click that turns him into a Punisher, which is great, actually. I think that gives him some nice longevity, and it'll be interesting to see what people can come up with for it.
I mean, there's only one legal Punisher right now.
Yeah, particularly for 65 points. Well, hopefully we'll see more. We'll see. So he's also got a trait that says Colossal Stamina, and if he has 2 action tokens, he has free make an attack. So just for those keeping track at home, if he has anything other than 0 tokens at the beginning of your turn, he's got 2 attacks coming that turn if he wants.
Always be attacking.
just awesome.
And strategic uses a theme prob to get pushed.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do to chain that together. I love it. And then he's also got an attack power, which is energy explosion and knockback. So that knockback just happens; doesn't have to be energy exploding. And he's got a trait or a damage power in his first 3 clicks at 90 or first click at 60, which is perplex, but only to target opposing characters, which is so great thematically. It's obviously less useful purely in terms of game effect. It's not bad, but it's not as useful. But all the same, I love the idea that he just puts the fear in people. Other than that, he is very much what you see is what you get dial, and he's all about attacking and attacking a lot. The only real downside of him is that his awesome invincible clicks are only on 1-3 or 1 at 60, which means that you're not as tempted to use the Colossal Stamina, especially if you know that your opponent has some kind of source of penetrating damage. Still, honestly, for me, I look at this guy and I see 60 points of attack until someone's dead. At 90, I honestly think that for the same reasons that the other War Machine can be easily hobbled by an outwit and a couple of quick shots, I don't even know that I paid the 30 points. I don't think he has a ton of life in the constructed setting, but I think in a sealed setting, he's got the opportunity to create a ton of death, and that's awesome.
All right. Mike?
Well, I think this next figure is definitely marvelous, and it is Captain Marvel. And she is 150 points. All right.
That joke was awful.
Oh, you're flirting, messing with me now.
There we go.
She is 150 points. She's got a 7 range single target. Some great values up top: 12 move, 12 attack, 18 defense, 4 damage. She's got the Assembled Avengers trait. I should actually mention her keywords. She's got a bunch of those: Alpha Flight, Avengers, Cosmic, Guardians of the Galaxy, Kree, and Soldier. A lot of good stuff in there. She's got the other trait: My Cat is Not a Flirkin. Free once per game. Generate a Chewy bystander. Chewy. Mm-hmm. Which is a great bystander.
Just bring some big league chew with you.
Yeah, in fact, I'll just mention the bystander right now. It's got a 6 move, 10 attack, 17 defense, 1 damage, but that's with blades, super senses, perplex, and a special movement power, which is flurry, plasticity, and giant reach. This is great on a bystander. Like, wow.
We missed you, Tickle.
Right? The bystander is so good. She's got a movement special power, higher hypersonic speed. When Captain Marvel uses it, after resolution, deal 1 penetrating damage to an opposing character she moved through. If that character is a vehicle, deal 3 penetrating damage. Who doesn't love passive damage? Like, holy cow.
What do you mean? It's so balanced to have free penetrating damage in the game
on a hypersonic-y character. And then she's got a stop click 3 different times on her 150-point dial and 2 times on her 95-point dial. And it's stop, invincible. Captain Marvel has protected outwit. This is I mean, I don't think I need to explain to anybody how great this figure is.
We get it.
I mean, again,
It's
just
subtle.
to have,
You might have to go over to the details.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even if she didn't already have that special part of her power, a figure has a 12-move hypersonic with 12 attack, its own prob, and 4 damage. You, of course, are going to be playing in this event. Plus, she's got now this bystander that comes out and Perplex. Yeah, Captain Marvel's great. We know she's great. Player at 150 points. Player at 95 points. You're not going wrong with whichever version you manage to fit on your team. She's great.
Just player.
Yeah, just player. And constructed, obviously the 150 is a lot to invest in, but again, there's so much stuff out there that you could build up around her, especially because she's got Avengers keyword and Cosmic keyword, which are easy to build large protective teams. And Cosmic, I don't know, just pair her up with an Unseen and she's already freaking amazing. So yeah, Captain Marvel.
She's got potential and constructed too.
Yeah, totally. All over the place.
Jay?
We have a figure that doesn't have a trait, which is weird.
Whoa.
I don't have a hand either.
Is it like the first one in the set?
It feels
Honestly,
like that.
very well might be. Arno has a sidestep. So I was just eating. I thought you were going to go longer because Captain Marvel's so good. I think you were going to summarize.
No, she's just that.
What more is there to say? Also, it's 10 to midnight.
Yeah. Arno has sidestep. At the beginning of your turn, you can give him a mobile. And then he gets range value of 12. Improved targeting characters, elevated hindering, and not outdoor blocking because it doesn't exist. And he has a option of range, make a range attack. When he does, all opposing characters within range and line of fire become targets, and each hit target is dealt 1 penetrating damage instead of normal damage, but you just have a 12 range, so why not? And then defense power, invincible. When he would take damage from an attack, you may roll a d6. 5 to 6, he takes no damage instead. And the Realm's entry for units says the errata for him, but then the entry still says outdoor blocking, so ignore that. For sealed, 12 range outwit that ignores almost the whole map. And then the option of like hit everybody within 12 for 1 penetrating, or shoot regular with outwit, or energy explosion. That was a bit short, but considering you're shooting from 12, and that's replaceable, or that's modifiable because it just says he has a range value of 12. So,
and it's what does short, but it's well protected with the basically invincible pervious.
Invincerus.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's gonna win a sealed event with this guy. A bunch of shield, and then you still have like half of the team left. Like for 90 points, really, how can you go wrong? Except for the fact that he's not that themable.
Yeah,
because he's only armor for Future Stark Industries. I mean, I don't know. I think you pretty much. It's a super rare. You're gonna play it.
Yeah, you play it.
Yeah, 12 range outwit alone. 12 range. Yeah, you play this figure. And constructed. If Earth X Iron Man is good, I would play this guy with him.
All right, guys, we're getting to the end here. It's time to invoke the Speed Force, and I'm going to start with Ironheart. Ironheart comes in at 85 points. She's got 7 range. What she sees is what you get dialed. No Indomitable. She flies. Armor, champion, scientist, Stark Industries keywords. Mode shift, Natalie. Ironheart can use her displayed damage powers twice per turn. Those across the dial at different points are Prob, Outwit, Perplex. Glue Cannon, Magnet Blast. I'll name it later. When Ironheart hits after resolution, she can use Barrier at no cost, but the first marker must be generated adjacent to a hit character with the markers that may be placed in hindering terrain. This is one of those super rares that's really good and sealed. I think because of the lack of willpower, I'm not super excited to bring her into Constructed. Although it is appealing to look at probability control twice, Outwit twice, Perplex twice across the dial. I'm just not seeing her constructed potential myself.
No, but as you say, like in a sealed setting, it's pretty much a guarantee, and it's good because of the fact that WizKids eventually did come around to the realization that if you're going to pull a super rare piece, you want it to be a good enough piece that you want to make sure it goes onto your team, and that's why all the super rares are really strong, except for number 57, Black Widow. So Black Widow is disappointing use of 65 points. Actually, I gotta be honest, she's not that bad, but this is your super rare. I mean, I pulled her on the weekend, and I sure didn't play her. She's espionage like so many others are. She has a kind of a unique feature in that she's one of the few espionage that is very close combat focused. Yes, she does have 5 range, but with a 9 movement with charge, along with Quake and exploit weaknesses, or exploit weakness, along with in a 17 ESD, then she's very much focused on getting up and close. And then as he goes down the dial, Steel Energy helps her to keep attacking. And as if that wasn't enough healing, she also has a trait that says that when she KOs an opposing character, after resolutions, roll a d6 and heal her of half the result. So she's kind of distinct insofar as she's a relatively low-cost espionage piece, but she's the one that wants to cross the board, get up in your opponent's face, and mess it up. She's really not a bad use of 65 points. You just want to make sure that the rest of your team around her is a bunch of good Avengers. I wish that she had shield. I wish a lot of things. I wish I hadn't pulled her. But that's what we get, and that's what we have. Why don't you talk about a really good piece, Mike?
Yeah. Well, really, I mean, again, for 65 points, look at Ross Solomon versus Black Widow.
Yeah.
Right? It's ridiculous.
Well,
anyway,
I don't know. They're both.
Ross Solomon would ruin her, right? She's got all the reach and the outwit. Just keeps outwitting charge.
That's
and
fair.
Just keeps
I
shooting.
can think of 2099 reasons not to play her.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the exact opposite of the next figure, Immortal Hulk, which I'm really not going to say much about. We've already gone over Immortal Hulk in other things. He's beautiful. He doesn't die. He's a wonderful call-in battery. Wow, he's a Hulk. And I know Tom cried tears of joy when he pulled him from a booster on the weekend.
Sure.
Everybody loves Hulk. You want to get a Hulk. Come on and get your Hulk. Yeah, Hulk.
Yeah, we have talked about him on the channel at great length. So, but just to quickly go over for everybody, he ignores elevated and hindering for movement. He's got Avengers, Brute, Monster keywords. He's 100 points. Man by day, Mortal Monster by night. Hulk can't be chosen for Mastermind, but Immortal Hulk would be KO'd the first 2 times in the game. Instead, turn to click number 1 and he scores 25 points for an opponent. When Immortal Hulk would be KO'd for the 3rd and final time, he scores 50 points instead of 100 points. So you do score 100 across the board. Powered by Sadistic Vengeance. His other trait: when friendly character within line of fire is damaged by an opposing character, put a Vengeance token on this card. Free, remove 2 Vengeance tokens to use charge at no cost. His first defense power after his first click is Stop Invincible, and then his special damage power in his last 3 clicks is Outwit. Immortal Hulk has protected Outwit. Whew. All right, just for those who might not have caught the Hulk on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Jay,
insert Tom Shelf clip here. Thor, Earth X Thor. Sorry, I'm stealing one of your favorites, Tom. But
No, it's good. I'm happy to hear someone else gush over it.
Earth X Thor has the Asgardian Avengers Earth X keywords. This is Thor for real, just turned into a woman in Earth X. Trait: whenever Thor attacks a single opposing character, modify attack +1 for each of the target's printed attack, defense, and damage values that are higher than Thor's printed values of the same type. Probably not going to come up except for range. No, range isn't one of them, so it's probably not going to come up. And then gets the best special power in the game at the last half of the dial. Shape Change. When Thor uses it and succeeds, choose 2 standard powers. Thor can use those powers until the end of your next turn. And then 2 of the clicks with that are Running Shot, Pulse Wave with amazing stats. Starts off with Running Shot, Energy Explosion Enhancement for 85 points. Amazing attacker, makes your other attackers better. With enhancement, that goes into Empower, and then when you pick powers, you pick whatever you feel like to make her better, make them better. We were waiting for this one for a while, and it definitely held up to that hype. And Earth X keyword was looking for more options, so Tom is going to play Earth X Thor. That's good enough for me to say she's competitive.
It's funny.
Competitive courtesy of Tom. Speaking of figures that we wish would probably be competitive or may make a face, it's Blade. Blade's got the team player, 5 range, 75 points. He's playable at 75 or 50 points. He's got Avengers, Marvel Knights, Midnight Suns, Monster, Mystical Spy, and Wakanda. Avengers, Assembled Avengers, Espionage, even though it's called Vampire Hunter, and then my gift from Deacon Frost, Steel Energy. When Blade uses it, he may heal past his blue starting line if he started him at 50 points. And his special damage power, they call me the world's greatest. Blade has protected Mystic's team ability. When Blade attacks a character with the Monster Mystical keyword, that character can't use defense powers that attack. So basically, wasn't there something about him continuing to charge at things?
Yeah, isn't that the trait or something?
It's part of his Vampire Hunter because he's basically got espionage and also the ability to after he
Wait,
kills
is it just
monster.
missing?
It's that part is missing. But basically, if he
I
kills a
swear
monster
to
or a mystical
God.
character, he can use charge and
At no cost.
At no cost.
Yeah.
So basically, this guy rips through Wendigo swarms like they're butter with one perplex. And just any of those mystical swarms of creatures. But the problem is, where people are comparing him to the Vulture, not every team is a monster or a mystical team, and as a result, he's very limited in that functionality. So that's kind of why we like. A lot of us don't consider him necessarily the Vulture. He's good, he's cool, but he's very limited in how his effect works off. And like when the most successful team is Cosmic, he's not really stopping the most successful team. Mystical does exist, but I mean, you're countering lower on the bar, if you ask me, when you play this guy. But yeah, so my thoughts on Blade.
Yeah, and we segue from that into a piece that seems very much built for Constructed. The Mandarin at 70 points, although to be fair, you'll almost never play him at 70 if you're playing him in Constructed because he has a trait which is anywhere between 3 and 30 points. The Rings of Power during Force Construction, you may include a number of different Mandarin Ring objects at 3 points apiece. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose up to 2 Mandarin Ring objects on the card and use the effects for those until your next turn, and Mandarin can't be equipped. Interesting little combination of things there. So he can't take anything else, but for a variable number of points, he can get Mandarin Rings and use their effects. That's very much what he's designed to be able to do. He does do a few other things on his own, though. He has traded toughness, which is not bad, considering his other defense dial is all about modifiers. High enough defense numbers with starting ESD and ending combat reflexes. Persistence right down the dial, with some opening 9-move running shot with 7 range and 2 targets. That's pretty decent in and of itself. And he does have a very cool damage power, which is to free choose Outwit, Perplex, or Prob, and he can use the chosen power. So that's pretty awesome. And if you really need to have a power turn, then you could choose all 3, and at the end of your turn, deal him 1 damage. And he, by and large, he can take that damage. It's always good to remember he's got that traded toughness there to help extend his life a little bit. For 70 points, honestly, I think he's something that if you pull him in your sealed, you'll be happy to play him, but you'll be happier still to see what he does when he gets some rings on him and starts doing things for free. I still, even with that in mind, he's still not quite an easy sell for me from a Constructed perspective, just because he doesn't do any one thing besides the free rings that is so effective. But considering the fact that he starts with those free rings and can get moving real fast, then maybe on a fast tempo team you can make some work with him. I like him.
Mm-hmm. Another important, semi-important, is that on the chi manipulation for the toughness, he can also have armor keyword characters not use defense powers. Now we're gonna find out who has the armor keyword.
yeah, that's true.
All right, Mike, you're up.
Yeah, and just quickly adding in that, the nice part is that you don't have to put all the rings on. You can sit and choose and manipulate those points and give yourself a little more wiggle room when building Constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Up next is figure number 62, Baron Zemo. He has 2 different starting lines. He's got a 65 and a 45-point starting line. The nice part is that actual starting click looks the same on both of the values. He has Masters of Evil, 5 range single target. He's got a trait we shall call ourselves the Thunderbolts. During game setup, when establishing theme teams, you may treat Masters of Evil and Thunderbolts as a single named keyword. I love that trait. He's got the Assembled Bolts and Masters, which we already know is helpful. And in fact, you're going to probably have a better chance of accomplishing that, obviously, on your team with this guy. He's got a special move power, charge, running shot, and stealth, which is super useful to help keep him a little bit protected, since he's really more a behind-the-scenes guy, as Baron Zemo should be. And then he's got a special damage power, leadership, outwit. When Baron Zemo uses leadership and succeeds, you may choose a Marvel team ability that isn't uncopyable. As long as he's on the map, friendly characters with the Master of Evil or Thunderbolts keyword can use the chosen team ability until he chooses again. I love this figure. I think he's great. I think you obviously... the 2 different starting lines are great because it gives you the wiggle room in terms of building him, but still getting exactly the same powers and the same thing you want to start, which is basically the special damage power, leadership, and outwit. And he has that stealth to protect himself. He does have mastermind to also help protect himself. He I would definitely be thinking of playing him obviously at 45 points initially when building my Masters of Evil and or Thunderbolts team ability, because I want to leave myself more room, and he's still accomplishing all those goals. The potential for team building now, being able to take both of those keywords and merge them into one is huge. So I think definitely we're going to see Baron Zemo in some constructed teams, named constructed teams. In terms of playing him in sealed, it's always about what else you pulled, but he's still a solid figure with the leadership and the outwit, with some good keywords and some solid values.
I could be wrong, but I don't think that his Thunderbolts trait and his assembled bolts and masters would work together, though, right? Because it's only during game setup that you're considering those to be the same. Is that not so?
What? Like, in what context?
Can you use the assembled bolts and masters to consider anyone with masters?
Well, it already says.
Oh, it already is both. Yeah,
keyword.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it had to. I misread how that works.
Yeah.
It could be a combination. Okay, that's better.
right. We got you there. You didn't need much of a map. In fact, you kind of needed a J.
I was okay. Atlas has assembled bolts and masters like every figure in the set. He is a giant to start, but he has a trait where he can take a free action until your next turn. Atlas has colossal and modifies attack and damage +1. I don't know why you would ever not use it, because giants and colossals are almost functionally the same, unless your opponent can mind control them.
Carried by a colossal?
Yeah, I don't know. Or like if they have a power that cares about colossals and not giants, I don't know. But that's a thing that he has. For 50 points, he has like a bruiser dial, 9, 11, 18, 4 with charge, which becomes 9, 12, 18, 5 for 50 points, which is wow. Bruiser dial, but almost good enough to just play with those stats. Or if you play him at 25, you start off with a giant retaliation power, which is basically colossal retaliation, but he has to choose an opposing character within 6 squares, not global. So it is more balanced, but at the pseudo retaliation line, he has 2 clicks instead, 25 points, has some stuff going on. I would consider either starting line. Just in general, unconstructed, 25 points is not. It's fine. It's all fine.
What's kind of cool is that at least he can take his action to move at 25 points. So it's within 6, but theoretically he can move his 6. So it's kind of like within 12.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And we're really kind of picking up the speed, moving even at Mach 10, 75 points
hate you.
or 50 points. Armor, Masters of Evil with Thunderbolts. Keywords, ignores hindering for line of fire. I think I said he has 6 range. Assemble Bolts and Masters, and then his last trait, upgrading the Mach lineup. Free, choose a standard power printed on this card. Mach of 10. Can you use the chosen power? I flip between the two because I keep seeing an X. I want to say X. Mach 10 can use the chosen power this turn. So he's got pick a power, which, you're either going to be using Precision Strike or Psychic Blast in a lot of cases, unless you get stuck in base. Then you're picking up those Quakes or those Steel Energies in a nutshell. At first I called him a glass cannon, but then I realized those first 3 clicks have damage reducers, so he's not super glassy. He's just, penetrating damage is going to melt through him. Either dial I'm kind of okay with. I'd probably lean 75 myself and sealed. But if I have to kind of lower some points, I'm not going to be sad about 50. I'm going to be sad about 50, but just I like that perplex on the 11 attack personally. But yeah, Mach 10 is a solid dude overall.
Yeah, and no clever segue here, but let's be honest, guys. Running Shot, Pulse Wave, protected with Super Senses and with Prob Control. She's basically got the best opening dial you could hope for. Her name's Songbird. She's 65 in the set. She costs 60 or 30 points with Aim, Avengers, Masters of Evil, Thunderbolts to keywords, and so it won't surprise you at all. She's got the Assembled Bolts and Masters trait. She also has Barrier for free. She can only generate 1 barrier, but she also has the ability to remove all other blocking terrain markers adjacent to the generated marker. So she can use her barrier to get rid of some other people's barriers, or she can use her barrier to try to isolate a better aim for a single target pulse wave, which again she has with Running Shot and Probability Control. I will play her at 60 points 100% of the time because I think that the dial is way better. But if you're really strapped for points and for some reason you can't afford her at 60, which is crazy, but if it happens, you can put her on for 30 points, and she's a sidestepping pulse waver who's at least hard to ignore, and that free barrier is as good as gold, which is why that's her name.
All right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Figure number 66 in the set is Blackheath. He has 75 points, Masters of Evil. He has no range. He has improved movement, though, ignores hindering. He's got the Assemble Bolts and Masters, because everybody has it. He's got a other trait, Simuloid Replicas. When Blackheath starts the game, generate 2 Simuloids. When Blackheath or a Simuloid KO an opposing character with an attack, generate a Simuloid in that square. When Blackheath would be KO'd, roll a d6. If that number is less than or equal to the number of his Simuloids on the map, instead turn Blackheath to click 6 and then KO a Simuloid. Protected Pulse Wave. He's also got a special attack power, Vengeance of the Verdant Green, Blades, Claws, Fangs, Quake, Giant Reach 1, increases Giant Reach +1 for each square of printed hindering terrain he occupies or is adjacent to. He's an interesting figure, I think, obviously on the right a map with a lot of hindering terrain. He could definitely benefit from that, having a nice long Giant Reach for Quaking or for Blades. If you can get lucky and get a couple of more Simuloids on the map, something more than 2, to really make him difficult to get rid of, that would be great. He could be a good call-in battery that way at the 75 points with Indomitable, and Shape Change makes him a little bit tough to deal with, but he feels a little bit sort of situational that way, even though he's got some good keywords, which I skipped over. Enforcers, what?
Hey,
with
what's
Fancy
up?
Dan.
Oh, wait,
So-
does the Fancy Dan get free range?
I think it was just an attack.
Okay.
It's a
I
free
hope
attack.
It's free attack.
So that's somewhat helpful. Kunlun.
Mhm.
What?
Well, it's from Iron Fist.
I know where
Iron
it's
Fist,
from, but I mean,
Protector of
who
Kunlun.
else? But they've
Yeah.
never even given him the keyword, I don't think. Like, come on. Magia, Masters of Evil, Scientist, and Thunderbolts. So, interesting figure. And actually, there's like 7 figures total that have that keyword. 4 of which are Iron Fist. So he's interesting figure. You might want to try and build with him, but I don't think he's going to make too much of a splash. Though again, Simuloids make him hard to kill, so who knows? Somebody might find a way to manipulate that and pop out a lot of Simuloids early on. So interesting figure.
Are the Simuloids not? I can never remember what it's called.
Autonomous. I don't
yeah,
think
that.
any of the Pogs in the set are, unless I'm
Okay.
forgetting something.
And
And speaking
making
of
sure.
Pogs,
And real
we
quickly,
have-
sorry, on the Simuloids, they've got plasticity, poison, toughness, and shape change themselves.
Yeah, I got them on the screen now.
Great.
So Pogs, we have the super rare Pog robot dupe. You pay 75 points and make it with Jason Wingard. When robot dupe starts the game, choose a standard opposing character of 100 points or less. Robot dupe has the robot keyword in addition to the chosen character's displayed combat values and displayed standard powers that are currently showing and can change as the character clicks. And also, in addition to those powers, has the toughness and shape change on the actual Pog. If the chosen character isn't on the map, robot dupe stylist is printed one. I mean, technically, Machine Smith exists, but like, I don't know. I just don't see it.
If you pull him, you're playing him.
I pulled him and didn't play him. But
Really?
I did also have a chase. Yeah, I pulled
Okay.
him and Chase Strange, made an Avengers team. I mean, technically, you have to own him, but that's about it. Like, I mean, you might play him in sealed, really, but I don't know. No point wasting time talking about Machine Smith.
My feelings are.
Does anybody disagree? Really?
No.
Okay, there you go.
Let's go.
All right,
Modoc.
Modoc. 70 range, 3 targets, 90 points, flies. He's a giant. Finally, got the big giant head to be a giant. Aim, Intelligentsia, Modoc's 11, Robot and Scientist keywords. You thought you had me, Captain America. Energy Shield Deflection, traded. Once per game, when Modoc would be hit with a range attack, you may instead choose that he evaded it. If you do, Modoc can't use Energy Shield Deflection for the rest of the game. Protected Pulse Wave. And then special movement power in his middle 3 clicks there. I am Modoc. Sidestep Mind Control. When Modoc uses Mind Control after resolutions, deal penetrating damage equal to his printed damage divided amongst his hit targets. Wow, I wish those Mind Control were up front. Because
they can be.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because
yeah.
he's playable also at 75 points. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you can start with that. All right. That's why I kind of prefer the 75 point.
The 75.
This is one of the rare instances where you've got 2 good options, and it depends what your team needs.
Like you could get a really solid range attacker at 90 points with like some beef and some outwit. And then you also have this mind controller who's mind controlling and then dealing damage.
And bobbing.
Yeah.
I don't like that it's a giant with only sidestep, though. Like, by the time you get in and you're engaging, you might have already been shot, or they hit and you have to use the trait and it's already wasted. I just don't like it as much.
Maybe he's no longer your primary attacker. Like at that point, he's supporting him with the probability control and maybe some taxiing. And then when he gets close enough, then he comes in as your secondary. So I think
definitely
it's good.
see merit. I just personally would much prefer the other one, but I can definitely see it.
All right. We're getting there. We're in the chase.
Yeah, we've hit the chases, and we're starting off with one that Jay was kind enough to gift to me. So thank you, Jay. You're the best.
Yeah.
We've got Namor with a rarely seen but always much appreciated Defender's team ability.
8 years. 8 years, man.
Right? It's been a long time.
I started playing lots of them. They made Namor with Defenders.
We've got a 75 or a 50-point dial. It'll surprise no one that the range is 0. With keywords of Atlantis Avengers, Cabal Defenders, Illuminati Invaders, and Ruler. So lots of build potential there. He has the Avenging Son of Atlantis trait, which is the most wordy one, but it goes as follows. He starts the game with the flood marker in his square, and he's got one of those SFX clicks things. The flood marker is water terrain. Smoke Cloud is free, but it generates water terrain markers instead of hindering terrain markers, and free, place the flood marker in Namor Square. So basically, he produces 7 squares of water terrain for free every turn. Crazy. He also has a trait which gives him the dolphin symbol, and friendly characters with a dolphin symbol who share a keyword with Namor modify attack +1 if making a close attack while occupying water terrain, which I assume includes him, right? Because he shares keywords with himself.
Yeah, well,
right?
Friendly characters with dolphin or his share keyword.
Oh, right, with dolphin or great. So yeah, basically look at his entire dial and just assume it's always +1 attack, and that should impress you because his attacks are already crazy good, starting out at a 12, dropping to 11s with a few 10s in between. So if those are in fact 11s through 13s, those are some solid attack values. We've got some leadership, invincible, long distance charge, and Quake up front. And as he goes down the dial, he eventually ends up on a defense power, which gives him toughness, regeneration, but only if he occupies water terrain, which he always will. So yeah, this is, it feels like every time we do these, we talk about a Namor, we say about the same thing, which is big stats, big effectiveness, not the sort of thing that you're necessarily going to build a lot of teams around, but you're never sorry to have it on your team. This guy is exactly the same thing, and I'm very happy that he's a Namor that feels like Namor, plays like Namor, and will always have some water to take a dip in. Good for him.
And I do like that his points have been slowly going down ever since we've started saying he's...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that between the defense boost from being a swimmer and the attack bonus from his trait, his stats, which are already great, are just even greater.
Yeah.
And defenders.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the other day I was definitely not Thor to pull this figure out of my
Yeah. You were actually feeling pretty Thor before you did, so
I did. Oh yeah. So yeah, we've got Chase Thor. He's got 3 different starting values. He's got 125, 75, and 50, which is pretty awesome. His stats are great, especially if you look at the 125 point, 10 movement, 12 attack, 18 defense, 5 damage, natural printed with prob. I love it. He, of course, being a Chase, has the funky little effects clicks, and that relates to one of his traits, Bring the Lightning. Thor has protected energy explosion. Thor starts the game with the lightning marker attached. When Thor hits with an attack, not using energy explosion, you may place the lightning marker in the square of a hit character. If you do, after resolutions, make a ranged attack using energy explosion at no cost, targeting the character regardless of range or line of fire. At the beginning of your next turn, attach the lightning marker to Thor. He's got the other trait, which connects to the lightning marker. When Thor has lightning marker attached, he can use energy, shield deflection, and poison. When Thor has the lightning marker attached, he has Mystic's team ability, but only for close attacks. And then he's got a stop click, which is just toughness, but still, hey, everybody likes a stop click on a nice beefy 125-point figure.
What you see is what you get here, right?
Yeah, really, it's just a really souped up Thor who's coming out swinging. He's got some okay keywords, obviously, with Asgardians, Avengers, DD, Ruler, and Warrior. Avengers, again, is already a great keyword, and it got another massive boost with Steve Rogers in this set. So now you can add in the perfect little figure to an Avengers team to help make this Thor better. He's great. I'm so happy to get him. And honestly, I find all 3-point values as being something to consider, though the 75-point line is definitely his best starting line for value, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, for 400 points, there might be better options, but whatever. You do what you can.
All right.
Oh, it's actually me now. Ghost Rider exists. Robbie Reyes is pretty cool. Traded, or starts off with improvement when elevated hindering, Mystics team ability, 3 range again. I don't know what it is with 3 ranges. 70 points. Avengers Mystical, Shield, keywords. Passenger 3 traded, but only to carry another typo. Character who share a keyword regardless of wing symbol. And Ram. And when he rams, he gets +3 speed and doesn't take unavoidable, which is pretty cool.
Wow,
he has 4 damage. That's a lot of
gross.
That's a lot of
ram.
damage.
Oh, get rammed hard.
Yeah.
Get out.
Flaming chain trait. When Ghost Rider hits with an attack after resolutions, you may give the flame marker to a hit character, moving it from any other character. And then when that character with that flame marker hits after resolutions, deal them 1 penetrating. When a character with the flame marker misses, all targets remove it. So if they attack you and they hit, they take mystics and penetrating, or if they miss, they miss. It's good stuff. I don't like the mid running shot with 3 range, but shield gets you to a 6 range, which is passable. Pretty good taxi though. All around, pretty interesting. I might try to make him work just because he does like just enough things, like being a taxi, but a really good attacker. And just costed low enough. I don't know. I feel like it can be made to work. And for sealed play, I mean, he has both of the most relevant keywords in the set, and it's chase. You're not playing chase. So yeah, I thought I was going to talk about Strange before. I wish I did.
I just got a call from my doctor at this hour. Strange.
It's
Doctor Strange. 75 points with the Mystics and Power Cosmic team abilities, 8 range, Avengers, Defenders, Illuminati, and mystical keywords. He's got a trait, summon everyone for the final battle. Phasing teleport, but only if Doctor Strange isn't adjacent to an opposing character. When Doctor Strange uses it, you may generate a portal marker, which he comes with that looks like this.
Decidedly not a clicks effect, but
he made the square he began or ended his movement in, removing any other portal markers. Other friendly characters occupying or adjacent to the square with the portal marker can use phasing teleport and modify speed +2. And he's got a special defense power on his first and his last 3 clicks. The only 2 he doesn't have is on like click 2 and 3. Allow me to assist you. Super senses and defend. But when friendly characters replace their defense value, they choose that replacement value to be 1 higher or 1 lower than his printed defense value. So you're either giving them, like on the first click, you're giving them a 19 defense or a 17 defense. I guess if you really need the support role, maybe.
I mean, Claire Finn is in the Avengers now, so there you go.
Fair. So, courtesy of Steve. But yeah, I like this Doctor Strange. There's a lot of possibilities with him. I've been considering him with some, like, in sealed, you just play this guy. He's a great 75-point Mystic Power Cosmic glass cannon type character. Like, he's really solid dude who he's one of those unassuming, like, kind of like Kobe. It's really strong to have this guy on your team, and just kind of worthwhile for sealed. And for constructed, I've been looking at this guy in conjunction with some WWE characters, because you get the +2 movement out of that first thing, which is really cool. And there's a few of them with the mystical keyword that I've been messing around with. Not necessarily going to be an end-all, break-all, but there's a lot of considerations for Doctor Strange, because, you know, he does have that, you know, missing willpower that we're looking at the defense. He doesn't have Indomitable. No, he's Power Cosmic, guys. He's Power Cosmic. It's really weird.
I want a sealed event with him, including beating an Immortal Hulk. I think he has just enough utility and board control, even on his top dial, or he gets really good attacking stats later. He just does pretty much everything, but you're not overpaying for it. So,
well, we're going to shift gears and talk about what I think is the most exciting and interesting one of the chases, even if he's not necessarily the most powerful, and that's Absorbing Man. He has a hilarious 2 range with
Masters giant reach, man.
Right. With Masters of Evil, he's 100 points with Indomitable and a nice deep dial. That's a very, very solid. What is that? 10 clicks deep. He's got a long trait, but I'll power through it because it's really interesting. Take on the properties of any element free. Choose an adjacent square's terrain type, and the absorbing man can use the corresponding powers until you choose again. Use the wall marker as a reminder by positioning it on the chosen terrain type. So it's really just kind of a functional thing to do. So obscuring terrain gives him improved movement, elevated, and blocking, and he has super senses and speed +2. Hindering terrain gives him improved movement for hindering terrain. Hey, what do you know? Along with stealth, regen, which is awesome, and modify attack +2. He can get his defense up by 2 if he's standing next to blocking terrain, which also gives him super strength and close combat expert, as well as the ability to move through and destroy blocking terrain, which really turns him into a tank. Or he can go into the water, take damage +2 for some reason, gain the ability to move through water, and also gain poison and shape change. I don't know. His dial is very cool. He's like you would expect for Crusher Creel. He starts out strong and gets real weak towards the end, which is a great representation of the character. Even though it seems a bit weak to have a dial this long, but a dial this deep with all that steel energy that he has after the first couple clicks, as well as the ability to get regeneration if he can get himself in a position to do it, should give him the ability to have a pretty long life. And when he's at the top, he's dealing a lot of damage. When he's in the middle, he's dealing. He's still got ways to get through, but whether it be exploit weakness in the middle, flurry towards the end, and I just love the fact that you can move him around the board to get what you need to do. It seems like a lot of fun to me. I really look forward to playing him.
If this is the version we have for normal, the Earth X version is going to I can't even theorize how insane that's going to be.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. All right.
Not that there's one confirmed, I should clarify, if we get Earth X version of Absorbing Man.
I'm sure it will. It'll just be after everything else cycles.
Yeah.
I can confirm he is fun to play. Absorbing Man is fun to play.
I was gonna say he looks like the definition of fun character for sure.
Yeah, man.
He totally is. There's a lot of permutations.
You're up, Mike.
All right, yeah, we're on to figure number 74, Ultron. Oh my goodness, Ultron, another figure with 3 starting lines. He's got 150 points. He's got 100 points, and he's got 50 points. He has. Wow. He's got massive evil. Yeah, right. He's got a 8 range triple target with a 10 move, 14 attack. That's right, people. A 14 printed attack, which I would somehow still turn into a miss.
Yeah, you're hitting. Yeah, don't go for 18s, Mike.
Challenge accepted.
Right. 18 defense and 4 damage with that wit. He only has a move and attack power on that first click. The rest of the time, it's pretty much sidestep with one random thrown in stealth movement power when he's on his 50-point starting line. He has a trait which goes with his Clicks Effects token, Encephalo Ray. When Ultron hits with a ranged attack, after resolutions, you may give the Encephalo Ray marker, max 1, to a hit target without a marker of that name. At the beginning of your turn, choose 1 to affect the character with the Encephalo Ray marker. That character has immobile until your next turn, or Ultron can use Mind Control as range at no cost, but only to target that character, regardless of range or line of fire. And then, so those are the 2 options.
Yeah.
Then, at the end of your turn, if a character began the turn with the Encephalo Ray marker, both players roll a d6. If your result is lower, remove the marker. Poof, that's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then he's got a special damage power, which is a stop click. So stop, impervious, regen, defense power, apologies. So stop with impervious and regen, but of course he heals 1 less because it's a stop click. He's got that 3 times on the dial. And yeah, he's a beast. I mean, come on, 14 attack. It's harkening back to that old school Ultron that we remember so well.
Oh,
it's a nod to him, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, you got to consider playing this guy. His keywords aren't all over the place. They're Lethal Legion, Masters of Evil, but Robot and Ruler are very helpful in terms of filling in. Ruler, especially, there's a lot of good Ruler stuff out there right now. Maybe get some Surtur playtime in before he retires this year. But this is a really solid figure. You got to look at him. And if you pull him in sealed and don't play him, everybody else at that event is going to come over and slap you. That's what's going to happen. So how could you not play him? He's a beast. He's a real beast.
Your camera stalled out on us there, Mike, just as a heads up.
Uh-oh.
But that's
I see it. I see. Wait, let's do the button.
And the button. There he is. He's back.
Woohoo.
All right, bring it home there, Jay.
Oh God, I am very happy to get to talk about the one Exiles figure. We have Peggy Carter Ultra Chase. She has a lot going on. First of all, when she starts the game, you generate the Becky Barnes bystander, which has keywords, almost all the same keywords as Peggy. The podcast, Avengers, Exiles, Shield, Soldier, and then the only one it doesn't have for theme prob purposes, essentially, is Howling Commandos, which is technically a keyword insofar as it is a keyword that exists. Did I mention the powers? I mean, the stats on this pog are crazy good. Like 20 up close. And then you have 19 defend, which I just remembered. Dear God. You have the Living Legend trait, and then one of the more notable things that Peggy has is the sideline active trait. When Steve fell, I had to step up. When a friendly character named Captain America or Steve Rogers at 50 points or more, aka there's never been a good one that was less than 50. So when that Steve Rogers or Captain America at 50 points or more is KO'd by an opposing attack, you may place Peggy Carter from your sideline into that square on her blue starting line, and then deal her damage equal to the final amount of damage dealt, or final amount of damage taken by that character minus the damage he was collect the excess damage. So if that Captain America was dealt 2 and only took 1 to die, she would be dealt 1. Or if you're playing her with Gauntlet Captain America, it would be 0 because he takes a maximum of 1. Basically, the 75-point line, which you're not seeing if she comes off the sideline, is wow, with charge, 12 attack, precision strike, 19 defend, 4 damage. Pick up a light object. Your 75-point character is dealing 5 damage plus the Pog. Has leadership, and if you come in at the blue starting line, you're never playing this at 50 points normally, only off the starting line. So you have the top dial of kind of similar charge, precision strike, toughness, leadership, and then if you take damage, you could take 2 damage and up on 18 reflexes up close along with the Pog. I think this figure is viable. I mean, you have to play it in sealed. If you don't play your Ultra Chase in sealed, I literally do not know what is happening there. You have 19 defend, good keywords. That defend is good and constructed, especially when there's less X-Men stuff that has 10 billion perpluxes and defense values actually matter. Or if you are playing her off the sideline, you have. I mean, there's a lot of Captain Americas in this set. They have Living Legend, so you have to hit them twice you have to kill them twice to kill them. Then Peggy comes out, and you have to kill her twice because she also has Living Legend and the Pog. Or you play her with that Captain America with the Gauntlet. You have to hit him 6 times. She pops out. It's just... You don't always do it if you're going to just give up points for no reason, but it's just a great thing to have if you're playing Captain America. You have her on the sideline. You just do. Yeah. Why would you not? Except for the fact that she's an Ultra Chase, but optimally.
Yes.
Optimally.
That's a good reason not to have her.
Yeah, so Tom's going to have to borrow it a lot. And then... I mean, how can you go wrong? Like, it's not the best Ultra Chase they've ever made, necessarily, but just... The 75-point starting line, I think, is viable, or the sideline thing is just... It's a sideline spot. Like, what more do you want?
Right.
We're going to talk about the prize figure and the Fast Forces next week, I think, because this was a big set. Holy crap.
Yeah, man.
And we got a couple questions to address very quickly, so we're going to try to fire through those and just wrap this show up. So, guys, thank you very much for powering through. If you've been watching, it's overall kind of looks like a really cool set.
I agree.
Sealed looks like it's a lot of fun. I wish I had a chance to play in a pre-release. But it looks like there's a lot of really cool figures that I want to experiment with for sure in this one. All right. So first up, Michael Fedor. Hello, Alpha Patron here. Thanks for keeping that bit going with the title. Thanks for keeping that bit going with that title.
The Alpha Patron.
Yeah, the Alpha Patron. I think it's just he appreciates that. During a sealed battle royale, I was having a hard time finding ways to utilize Blackheath's simuloid pogs. While I was unable to find a flyer to taxi them around, how would you approach those simuloids to utilize them as tie-up pieces? I mean, in a battle royale situation, if you don't end up with the flyer, you're kind of stuck just moving them. You gotta do it the hard way, and then just hope that they're killing things with their obnoxious shape change and whatnot. But and poison. But I like if you don't have the flyer. unfortunately, you didn't draft the flyer. There's not much you can do beyond that other than just moving them. Perplex up their movement, get them in there. They have plasticity. They have shape change. They're not, they're not easy to get away from. So that's what I would do, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I guess obviously all the same things apply. If you've got a TK, use a TK. If you got a taxi, use a taxi. If you got perplex them up. I think they're going to have to move on their own.
Yeah, I would.
Tyrannus problem, basically.
Yeah, though I would personally play them a little more defensively, keeping at least one back, because the point is to have Simulades on the map to keep Blackheath hopefully alive. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I would necessarily be putting them forward as much as I would be more aggressive with him and let him do the KOing to get more Simulades on the map.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Aside from that, there's a brief mention in the chat while we were talking about Jolt, where Martin Norton pointed out that his Prime Jolt is a great piece in Sealed. He was able to get 4 Connect tokens on top dial and was ending life for a character with a normal attack, and then her free penetrating energy explosion was ridiculous. So,
yeah, no doubt.
A situation like that, yeah, it's really good.
Sure.
Just a lot of people sharing their stories. One guy pulled a Songbird and an Immortal Hawk for his pre-release. Gee.
Not bad.
He said, "Yeah, it was an easy win." And Jesse Cote did like Jay's comment. Ghost Rider exists. Moving on. All right. Thank you guys very much for powering through, Tom, Mike, and Jay. I want to thank our sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com. Check out the Apex Insiders. $3 a month gets you access to some Break Brains in the game of HeroClix. I recently submitted an article to them, and I'm pretty sure after I'm done with this, Pat's going to ask me for one because I mentioned it. Aside from that, I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. Patrons, keep an eye on your patron mailbox either tonight or tomorrow morning, where I will get this month's Roll20 party for the $5 and up patrons together. Probably doing something a little bit wrestling themed, but you don't have to use wrestlers for it. We'll talk about that in the mail. But in the meantime, guys, Captain America's out this week. Get out there on Wednesday and further on. Get into your release events. Get your packs. Get your bricks. Get your cases. Get your singles. Get them on the table and practice, because practice will make your teams better. Have a good night, everybody.